This running back has 204 broken tackles over the last 3 seasons, 25 more than the next closest player.
This is a hard one. Obviously, like Derrick Henry has the best highlight reel tackle breaks, but also Henry doesn't actually like string together broken tackles. Relatively, I feel like Saquon and Bijan do more of the like you're not going to break multiple tackles.
Was it a
little fast? Sorry.
Yeah, wait.
Oh!
He gave the single cam.
I don't like that at all.
Welcome to the Opening Bell, the NFL Stock Exchange Show. Trevor Sikkema here with you guys for a very fun topic that we have here on an off-season Monday. Today, we are tiering / ranking, however you want to say it, every single team in the NFL based on how good they are at drafting or not good at drafting. We're going S tier to F tier. We're going to go through every single team that we have in the league. We're going to review the stipulation here, or the context is we're looking at the last 10 years. So I tried to give a little bit more grace in my consideration here to some newer general managers who, okay, over the last 3 years, maybe we haven't had a ton of time play out yet, but I maybe like where they're going. I like the direction. I like the draft when it happened on draft night, but we are going to look at the last 10 years of drafts for every single team, and we're going to place them in tiers S through F. I am still flying solo here for this show, but for many of you who follow Connor, whether it's on Twitter or on Instagram or whatever it is, you saw that him and his wife did have their baby this past week, but I decided to say to him, like, hey, buddy, I still got the show on Monday. You can still get home and enjoy the transition period with your wife and your new son. Shout out to Cameron Rogers for the first time, making sure that I say that there on the show. Big shout out to everybody who look at the man holding his son already. Big shout out to everybody who flooded Connor and Kristen's comments on Instagram and Twitter just with congratulations, and I saw some incredible inside jokes from the addicts there as well, like, hey, the kid can already host the pod, which I think that he actually can already host the pod if we're being honest. Somebody in there said that he was the Mike Evans of Connor Rogers. We just had a lot of, you guys just made me laugh, as you always do, but it was another sign of just how really cool this community is. So I don't want to take too much time talking about that because I want to make sure that Connor can talk about it and thank you guys himself when he comes on the show next. But flying solo today for that reason. So we're still letting him and his wife adjust to being new parents. But shout out to everybody who helped welcome their new son into the world and a new addict that we have here on the NFLSE family. This could be a long show. And let me tell you, the chef really cooked it up well for you guys. We got the tier maker that you guys are going to see throughout the show. We've obviously got the team logos, and we'll be able to put them in all different sorts of tiers here. Like we mentioned, S, A, B, C. Ooh, I actually had a D tier in here. Tyler, can we add a D tier, or am I going to have to, like, on the fly? Oh, man. I actually think so. So I thought that we had a D tier in here, and I did a little bit of research, obviously, because it took me a long time to sort of get my bearings and exactly where I was going to have these teams. The D tier, this is so funny that it works out this way for me, I think has the most teams in it. So I'm going to have to separate these teams on the fly between being a C tier and an F tier. So as if this show wasn't already going to be incredibly entertaining, there you go. It's going to be even more entertaining for you guys. But we're going to do this for every single team. We're going to go in alphabetical order because obviously we're not going to be like, okay, here's all the S teams, here's all the A teams, here's all the B teams. That wouldn't be fun, and that would be very anticlimactic. So we're going to go in alphabetical order. And Chef, if you're ready to go, I think we can get it rolling here with the very first team, which is the Arizona Cardinals. So the Chef did a wonderful job showcasing all of the picks for every single team that you guys will see. If you were watching this live, if you're audio only, I'll try to explain it as best I can. Some of the players that are going to be difference makers here when it comes to this decision. Ultimately, though, over the last 10 years, sorry to say it, Cardinals are an F. This is the first team is going in F tier. And if you go back to 2017, because we're doing the last 10 drafts, If you go back to 2017, it's just not very pretty for this team. They've had two general managers. One is Monty Ossenford, who's the general manager right now. The other general manager over this time period was Steve Keim. They have had only one season above 8 wins during that time. And if you go to 2017, it's like, okay, Hassan Reddick, who is on-ball, off-ball linebacker, was a little bit, tricky sort of figuring that out for him. Eventually, he did find a home in the NFL being able to do that, but it took a while for him to do that. You got Budda Baker as well in the second round, but not much to speak for outside of that. 2018, obviously, you take Josh Rosen at number 10 overall. He's not even on your team a year later. You had Christian Kirk as well, who's been fine, solid, but Chase Edmonds, a 4th-round pick for you. Not really much outside of that. You take Kyler Murray, number 1 overall the next year. You got Zach Allen in the 3rd round, but then it's like, man, Hakeem Butler, Andy Isabella, Deontay Thompson, just, again, not really anybody to hang your hat on there. The following year, you're taking Isaiah Simmons in the 1st round. The next year after that, you're taking Zaven Collins in the 1st round. You get Trey McBride in the 2nd round of 2022. That's great, but you just look through their drafts. Really, the last handful of drafts for Steve Keim, and there's just not a lot of impact. There's not a lot of guys that, whether it was their premium picks or it was the mid-round picks, there's just not a lot here for this team. And there's a reason why this team failed to really get out of that rebuilding mode. I would say that they felt like they were in since they drafted Josh Rosen in 2018. They were in that spot because they needed a quarterback. They needed somebody to usher in the new era for them. And really, since then, they have not been able to take that next step. And I think their drafts are a big reason why. You have the 2023 class, which I like, where you have Paris Johnson Jr. and that trade back and then trade up. I like that maneuver. Anybody who listened to the show knows that. You got B.J. Ojulari, Michael Wilson, you Garrett Williams, Keitrell Clark. I think that this is a really solid draft for them in 2023, and then you get to 2024, hey, Marvin Harrison Jr. hasn't been exactly what you've wanted him to be. Not that he can't get better. I'm not trying to say that, but hey, you got other wide receivers that are already out producing there. Darius Robinson's been low impact for him. Trey Benson should have had the opportunity to be their RB1 this year, and that doesn't look like that's going to be the case for them. 2025, I like the players in Walter Nolan, Will Johnson, Jordan Birch. I like those guys, but I don't think there's really any way around it. This has to be an F type of a draft. So starting off with a bang here with the Arizona Cardinals as a F when it comes to how they have drafted over the last 10 years, which then brings us to the Atlanta Falcons. Make sure that I pull up the Falcons draft history here as Tyler does that as well. 3 general managers during this time from 2017 up until now. I would put the Falcons in the F tier. I had them in the D tier, but if the D tier does not exist here, we're going back-to-back Fs for these two teams to start us out here in alphabetical order. You take Takk McKinley in 2017. Obviously, he didn't work out for them, and unfortunately, you're taking him over J.J. Watt. That certainly does not help there. In that draft, you had Duke Riley, Sean Harlow, DeMonte Casey were after that, but low impact there. Calvin Ridley in the 1st round of 2018. Isaiah Oliver didn't really turn out to be the impact corner that you wanted him to be. You get Russell Gage in the 6th round and Foyesay Oluokun in the 6th round, which I actually think were good picks there for them. The following year, you got Chris Lindstrom and Caleb McGarry, who became really good impact players for them on the defensive line, but not much after that outside of that 1st round. A.J. Terrell was a good selection for them in 2020, but, Marlon Davidson wasn't a high-impact player for them. Matt Hennessy, he was a starter for them for a little bit, if I remember correctly. Yeah, but not like a full-time starter, and he's not on the team anymore. He's with San Francisco. Jalen Hawkins, funny enough, had a great year this past year, but he just, his career was kind of a slow burn to get to that point. 2021, Kyle Pitts, fine selection, right? Relative to the expectations of where he got picked versus where you could, the players you could have selected, obviously that one stings a little bit there, but Kyle Pitts has been fine. And then it's Richie Grant, it's Jalen Mayfield after that. You get Drew Dahlman in the 4th round, which is a good pick, but there's just not enough here. And again, I probably would have put this one in a D tier because when you look at 2022, okay, 2022, you get yourself Drake London, you get Tyler Algier in the 5th round. The next year, you get Bijan Robinson, Matthew Bergeron, Zach Harrison. Those guys are solid for you. But then you get into 2024. We talked on this show about the blunder that was the Michael Penix selection and how they handled quarterback. Ororo's not even on the team anymore. Trace had the injury. Dorless is a solid rotational player. Last year, obviously, Jalen Walker looked good. James Pierce Jr., we'll see what happens with him. Obviously, with the serious off-the-field stuff. Xavier Watts looked great. Billy Bowman looked very good before the injury. So it's looked better as of late, but if you're looking at a 10-year sample size, I think that you have to just look at this as an F. I don't think I could put this in the C tier. I think that they have swung and missed too many times, and they just haven't had enough players who have been able to stick around and be impact guys for them. John's saying that the Pitts pick was disastrous. I don't think it's disastrous. Like, Pitts has still been good. He had a good rookie year. He just didn't take that next step in year 2 and year 3. And he was good again last year, but I wouldn't say disastrous. Is it hard to look at him versus, who else was picked in that 2021 draft who was really good? Specifically Jamar Chase, you got Penei Sewell, you got guys like that. Like, yeah, obviously it's tough, but I wouldn't say that it's disastrous. The Baltimore Ravens, next team that we have here, I'm going to go with an A here for the Baltimore Ravens. And I'm very curious as to whether or not Ravens fans or even fans outside of Baltimore who look at this team and how they've drafted, how they feel about it. Because I looked at them as a team that seems to know their identity and their roster needs pretty well. And even though there are some swings and misses here, you have really good players, I think, through every single draft that they end up having. Now, I will say that the Ravens are typically a team that has a lot of draft picks. So I wanted to take that into account because it's easy to look at a list of, say, 8 or 9 draft picks and be able to pick out 3 of them and be like, oh, okay, yeah, you hit a couple of guys in this class because, okay, you have 8 or 9 selections there. It's a little easier to do. But you go to 2017. You got Marlon Humphrey in the first round. I thought that was a great selection for them. You get Chris Wormley in the third, who, he's played for them and he's played for Pittsburgh. I think he's a solid football player. 2018, obviously, you net Lamar Jackson. You've got Orlando Brown Jr. You get Mark Andrews as well. Deshaun Elliott in the 6th round. Bradley Bozeman is in the 6th round as well. 2019, some people might look at Marquise Brown in that class at number 25 overall and say, okay, Marquise Brown, not really great as a first-round pick, but okay, if you're going to take a wide receiver, that was kind of the explosive wide receiver that they wanted, and I think context is really important here, right? It's not like there were great wide receivers that were picked after him. The next wide receiver after him was N'Keal Harry at number 32. Deebo Samuel was in the 2nd round at number 23. Okay, maybe you could argue that one. You've got A.J. Brown, who gets picked at number 51. Obviously, that one hurts a little bit. But for what they wanted Marquise Brown to be and to add that explosiveness to their offense, he was able to produce at a somewhat high level for them. So you get Justice Hill and Ben Powers in that draft as well. 2020, I think people, funny enough, they might look at the Patrick Queen selection in the 1st round and go, Patrick Queen, like, he's so overrated as a linebacker. You get him at 28? Dude, like 28's not that bad at all. And you also add J.K. Dobbins and Nnamdi Buike. You have Malik Harrison in that draft. You get Geno Stone in the 7th round as well. Go to 2021. Again, Rashad Bateman. I think people look at Rashad Bateman and they look at him and say, man, I'm disappointed by Rashad Bateman, but when you look at him versus who was picked after him, he's selected as wide receiver 5 in that draft class at number 27 overall. I mean, the wide receivers after them were Elijah Moore, Rondale Moore, Dwayne Eskridge, Tutu Atwell, Terrace Marshall Jr. So I'm not too harsh on that one either. You get Brandon Stevens and Tylan Wallace in that draft. 2022, you get Kyle Hamilton, you get Tyler Linderbaum, you get Travis Jones. I think that the way that the Baltimore Ravens have drafted over the last 10 years, I think this has to be an A. I was like, there are some misses with this team, but perfection's not the bar. And I think that having the Ravens and talking about the Ravens is a really good way to sort of set the stage here for what makes a good team when it comes to overall draft success. It's not, hey, did you shoot 100%? Or even above 80, 90%. I mean, that's just not realistic. So for what the Ravens have been able to do with the amount of picks that they have and the ability to recognize what their coaching staff wants and the players that really help them continue winning football games, I think the Ravens are an A team. Somebody said, is that a 4th-round punter? Who they hit? They get a 4th-round punter in here? They did indeed. Jordan Stout, 2022. It's a good thing that 2022 draft also has Kyle Hamilton, Tyler Linderbaum, Travis Jones, Charlie Kohler, Isaiah Likely. That 2022 draft is nasty from them. That's a very, very good draft from the Baltimore Ravens. So it kind of covers up the fact that you drafted a punter in the 4th round. The Buffalo Bills. Let's get the Bills draft history. I went with a B for the Buffalo Bills here and how they have drafted over the last 10 years. You look at 2017, it was Tre'Davious White for this team, Deion Dawkins, Matt Milano. Beautiful. Beautiful stuff there, especially when Tre'Davious White was playing at his highest level. He's one of the best corners in the game. Deion Dawkins obviously still doing it at a high level for them, and Matt Milano was a 5th-round pick. Excellent stuff. The year after that, you get Josh Allen at number 7 overall. Obviously, it changes the trajectory of the franchise, but you've also got Tremaine Edmonds, who obviously was a starter for this team for a long time. Teron Johnson, Wyatt Teller, funny enough. I think Wyatt Teller was cut after his first year with Buffalo, so I don't want to give him too much credit for Wyatt Teller, but they did see the vision enough to draft him, and then he goes to Cleveland, and he becomes an incredible guard prospect. Ed Oliver at number 9 overall. Has he been what you would have wanted from a independent, like if you just say, hey, he was drafted in the top 10 at 9 overall? Maybe not, but Ed Oliver's still a good football player. You also get Devin Singletary. You get Dawson Knox in that draft. AJ Epinesa in the middle part of the 2nd round in 2020. You get Gabe Davis as well. Dane Jackson in the 7th. And then it's Greg Rousseau, Spencer Brown in 2021. You get DeMar Hamlin in 2021 as well. 2022, okay, these are some of the picks. Is like, all right, this is why the Bills aren't in the A tier for me. Is you got Kyrie Elam, who you go within the 1st round, but then look at the next 3 picks in 2022 from the Bills. It's James Cook, it's Terrell Bernard, it's Khalil Shakir. Then you got Christian Benford in the 6th round as well. That's really good stuff. I think Dalton Kincaid's a really good player in the 1st round of 2023 when he is healthy. Osiris Torrance been a starting caliber guard for them. Has he, become as consistent as they have wanted him to? Maybe not, but he's a starting caliber player for them. Keon Coleman in 2024, obviously, that has been criticized, as we all know, but Cole Bishop's a good pick for them. I think Ray Davis is a good depth pick for them. I think Cedric Van Pran is as well. So it's the last 2 drafts, I think, for this team have been a little bit more hit and miss, but they've done a very good job, again, especially when it was Sean McDermott who was there as the head coach, identifying the guys that work out for them. Oh, yeah, somebody's correcting me in the chat and saying Teller was traded. He wasn't cut. He was traded. You're right. He was traded to the Cleveland Browns, but still sort of the same thing because they're letting him go. They're trading him, but anyways, I think that this is very solid. I think the Bills are very solid. I am giving them a B for how they have drafted over the last 10 years. The Carolina Panthers. I'm building up the suspense as I type in the draft history for this team. I gave the Carolina Panthers a C. I think that they are in the C tier here. Now, it starts off very strong when you're looking at the last 10 years. You look at 2017, you get Christian McCaffrey, you get Curtis Samuel, and you get Taylor Moton. I think that is really strong as a start there. The following year, it's DJ Moore, it's Dante Jackson, back-to-back in the 1st and 2nd round. Those are good players. You got Ian Thomas in that draft as well. The next year, you got Brian Burns. All right, hit in the 1st round there with Brian Burns. Greg Little in the 2nd round. Will Grier in the 3rd round. All right, not great. Overall, the 2019 draft class for them was not great, but you did nail it with that 2019 overall pick for the Carolina Panthers. 2020, you get Derek Brown at number 7 overall. Derek Brown is an unbelievable football player. Year Gross Matos, you get him in the 2nd round. And look, I was never the biggest fan of Yetur Gross-Matos when he was coming out of Penn State. I always worried that, he was sort of just a what you see is what you get. I think a lot of people looked at him and his athletic potential and thought that he was going to really take the next level and take a massive leap. I wasn't so sure that that was going to be the case. Did not end up happening with him. You do get Jeremy Chin in the 2nd round as well, who, Chin, I think, the unfortunate part with Jeremy Chin is he's a very versatile player, but going back to the conversations that we have all the time about versatility, versatility is good. Homeless is bad. Like you don't want guys to not have a home base for them to be able to lean back on. Okay, maybe when they're struggling or they really need to make sure that this player, you're getting the most out of their talents and what they see very well on the field. And I just don't feel like Jeremy Chin had that with that coaching staff in Carolina. So I do think that he's a solid player, especially for a late second round pick. But obviously just ups and downs with all the different ways that they were using him with that coaching staff when Matt Rule was there. You get J.C. Horn, Brady Christensen, Tommy Tremble, Chuba Hubbard, like those guys in 2021. Ike Ekwonu in the first round of 2022. Okay, good, but then you don't really get much out of that draft that's outside of Cade Mays in the 6th round. Bryce Young really clouds a lot of this, right? Because of everything that you gave up to go get him, and you're still kind of sitting here like, is Bryce the long-term guy for us? Jonathan Mingo was overdrafted in the 2nd round. DJ Johnson was way overdrafted in the 3rd round. Chandler Zavala, he's been through injury, but he hasn't really taken that next step either. You get Xavier Legette in the 1st round of 2024. Obviously, that doesn't look great. Trevin Wallace, the book's not finished on him. He needs to have a good year this upcoming year. So does Jatavian Sanders, to be honest with you. He really needs to have a great year. Jonathan Brooks, it sounds like he's running well now that he's healthy. I really hope that he has a fully healthy season because I think that kid's really talented. But yeah, I think that C is appropriate for the Panthers, who you've nailed a good amount of their first-round picks over the last 10 years. But the Bryce Young selection, obviously, and everything that went into it with the draft capital that you traded, that weighs pretty heavily here. And they have had some misses. And I think a lot of the guys in the depth, especially with the old regime and the old coaching staff, which goes into account here with it being a 10-year sample size, that really hurts them because a lot of those guys either aren't in the Panthers or aren't even in the league anymore. So yeah, there's the Panthers. I gave them a C. Peter said I'm at work getting pounded right now. Pause. Just wanted to stop by and say hi. I had to read that because it was appropriate for the Pounders because everybody during that current segment was getting pounded. Pause again. Got to make sure they say that there. The Chicago Bears. Where did I have the Bears? Where are the Bears? Where did I put the Bears? Oh, I put the Bears in the C tier. When you look at the Chicago Bears, better recently, I think that the Khalil Mack trade definitely went into, if you go back to 2017, like their ability to recoup a lot of talent. What was it in that 2020 and 2019 drafts? Because if you go to, I'm sorry, Tyler, I'm messing you up big time. But like, if you go back to 2017, okay, you trade up one spot to draft Mitchell Trubisky. It doesn't work out for you. You get Eddie Jackson in the 4th round. You got Tariq Cohen, who I think was good when he was healthy. So it's like, okay, that's decent. More bad than good, unfortunately, with Mitchell Trubisky. But then you get into 2018, hey, you draft Roquan Smith, you get James Daniels. Those are 2 good football players. Not much after that. And then you trade for Khalil Mack. You get David Montgomery in the 3rd round, but really nothing substantial after that. 2020, you don't have a first-round pick there either, but you do get Cole Kmet. You get Jalen Johnson that year. You have Darnell Mooney. So you got some solid football players there. 2021, you take a chance on Justin Fields. Obviously, it did not work out for them, but you get Tevin Jenkins in the 2nd round. Unfortunately, he had some injuries, but I do think that he's a good football player. Larry Borum in the 5th round, that's a good selection there. Karis Tonga in the 7th round for where you're picking him, that's a good selection there. Khalil Herbert in the 6th round as well. You get to 2022, you get Kyler Gordon, you get Jaquan Brisker, you get Braxton Jones in the 5th. I think it's really solid from them. Velus Jones obviously didn't work out for them, but I think it's pretty solid there. You're getting Darnell Wright in 2023. You got Tyreek Stevenson in this draft. Gervon Dexter's in this draft. Roshan Johnson, Zach Pickens. These are guys who are in that draft. And then you get to 2024 where, okay, it's Caleb Williams, it's Rome Odunze, it's Kieran Amagaji, guys who I like. Austin Booker in the 5th as well. 2025, a draft that I loved from them. Colson Loveland, Luther Burden, Ozzie Trapillo, Shamar Stewart. You get Kyle Monungai in the 7th. And then I really love what the Chicago Bears did in 2026 as well. You get Dylan Thieneman, you get Logan Jones, Sam Roush, Xavier Thomas, Malik Muhammad. Like, these are some good football players that I'm very excited about. So I ended up having the Chicago Bears in the C tier because I just think it was certainly a mixed bag. Up until a couple of years ago, I really have liked a lot of the drafts that Ryan Poles had, especially now with Ben Johnson as the head coach. I do like those there, but it felt like C was appropriate for the Bears, especially given the fact that right in the middle of things, like in that 2019, 2020 draft, you don't have those first-round picks because you got Khalil Mack. But Yeah, so that's where I am with the Chicago Bears. I have them as a C team. Now the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals I had as a D team, but we obviously don't have a D category, so they are going in the F category, I think, for the Cincinnati Bengals. Since we don't have a D category here, you start off in 2017. You do get Joe Mixon in the second round, but there's a reason why you got Joe Mixon in the second round. John Ross at number 9 overall did not work out for them at all. Jordan Willis did not either. You get Carl Lawson in the 4th. That's about it from that draft. 2018, you get Billy Price, low impact player for you in the first round. You do have Jesse Bates in the second round, which is decent, but man, Sam Hubbard in the 3rd. The problem with the Cincinnati Bengals is they have swung and missed badly on trench picks. Like, is Sam Hubbard the best defensive lineman that they drafted over the last 10 years? And Sam Hubbard has been solid for them. He had 8.5 sacks in his second year, 7.5 sacks in 2021, then 6.5, then 6. I mean, Sam Hubbard's fine, but who's a better defensive lineman for a team that's needed a good defensive lineman? I mean, they drafted Joseph Osai, Cam Sample, Zach Carter, Miles Murphy, Chris Jenkins, Jackson McKinley. I mean, Sam Hubbard's basically the best defensive lineman that you've drafted over the last 10 years. And I just don't think that's good enough for a team that's needed better defensive line play, basically for the better part of, certainly since Burrow has been there. And I think the same can be said on the offensive line as well. The Billy Price selection in the first round of 2018 was a miss. Jonah Williams never developed into the player that you needed him to when you drafted him in 2019. Jackson Carman in the second round in 2021. Let's see. Who else do we have? Amarius Mims, I think, can be a very good player for them, so I think that that's actually a good selection there. Dylan Fairchild, I think, could be a starting caliber and solid guard for them as well, but man, there's just too many, I think, swings and misses at important positions that have really held this team back from genuinely competing the way that they should with the offense that they have with Joe Burrow. So to me, it's not that the Bengals are void of having good selections. They've made some decent selections, especially I think from 2020 on. You've got a handful of draft picks that are really nice for them or solid, but they've swung and missed, I think, in the areas in the trenches where they have really needed to hit for this to be what it needs to be from the Bengals. And I just don't think that they have done a good enough job drafting. So yeah, I think that this is an F here. Again, I had them in the D tier. F seems harsh, but if I have to pick, either I'm putting them in the C tier or putting them in the F tier. I'm going to put them in the F tier because I think that they have been disappointing. Drake is saying Dexter Lawrence is going to be an interesting impact on Cincinnati's defensive line. I agree 100%. I love that move for them. And I genuinely believe that the Bengals are going to be really strong competitors this year for the division title and then even a deep playoff run. I think this team, if they stay healthy, if they can stay healthy, which I love the Bengals, so I hope that they can. I lived in Cincinnati for a couple of years. Bengals fans are dope. Like I just think that there are so many years where they have had disappointing seasons just due to things that were outside of their control. I want them to be fully healthy because I want to understand what the actual potential is of this Bengals team. So I hope that they get it, but the way that they drafted over the last 10 years, I'm giving it an F here. Sorry, guys. The Cleveland Browns. Let's stick along the F tier train. This is a F team here for me with the Cleveland Browns. I think their drafts are more hopeful as of late, right? I mean, especially when you look at 2025 and 2026. Mason Graham's somebody who I think could take a step up in his second year here in the league. Carson Schlesinger looked great. Quinshon Judkins looked great. Harold Fannin looks great. I think that Dylan Sampson can be a really good addition for them as well. Obviously, you have the quarterbacks with Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders to see how that plays out. I really like the Browns draft this past draft in 2026. It was the only A+ that I gave out from this team. But when you start to work backwards, not great. 2024. You don't have a first-round pick. You go Michael Hall, Zach Zinter, Jamari Thrash. Low-impact selections. 2023, Cedric Tillman has not emerged as the receiver that he's needed them to be. Siaki Ika is not on the team anymore. DeJuan Jones struggles. He's a 4th-round pick, but he struggles. Isaiah McGuire's good for them. You get 2022, Martin Emerson, up and down, but a starting corner. You get Alex Wright as well. David Bell, non-impact for them. Perion Winfrey, non-impact for them. You get your own Ford in the 5th round. Okay, that's decent. Jeremiah Usu-Koromo, unfortunately, in 2021, he's had the neck injury in his career, and I don't think he's ever going to play again. Greg Newsome, who I thought was fine, but they traded him. Now in 2020, Jedrick Wills, you draft him over Tristan Wirfs, not great. Jordan Elliott, Jacob Phillips, Grant Delpit in this class as well. But in 2019, Greedy Williams, Sione Takitaki, Sheldrick Redwine, Mac Wilson. 2018, you've got Baker Mayfield and Denzel Ward, obviously good selection. Oh, Austin Corbett and Nick Chubb as well. Those 4 selections in 2018, really nice draft there for the Cleveland Browns. And then in 2017, too, you get Myles Garrett number 1 overall. It's kind of a dub, but hey, you got a really good player, Myles Garrett, obviously. You get your Jabril Peppers, you get David Njoku, you have Larry Ogunjobi as well. So 2017 and 2018, good for this team. But I unfortunately have to factor in how they also utilized their draft picks in trading for Deshaun Watson, which was a massive blunder for them. So I don't think I can do anything other than have the Browns in the F tier because the Deshaun Watson trade was an absolute nightmare for them, and it cost them so much draft capital. Really, since 2017 and 2018, they really have not drafted well until 2025 and 2026, which are drafts that I like for them. But let's be honest, they're small sample sizes right there for Cleveland. So I think this has to be an F. I think this has to be an F for Cleveland. I like the direction that they're going lately, but given, again, the draft capital that was used on Deshaun Watson and then how I feel like they have just really failed to build the correct team over the better part of the last half decade, this is putting Cleveland in the F tier for me. The Dallas Cowboys. Where did I have the Dallas Cowboys? Cowboys are in the C tier for me. I gave the Cowboys a C. Cowboys, I think, were all over the place, if I remember correctly. Jerry Jones, obviously, has been the decision maker for them. Well, not just him, but the Jones family. Lamb and Parsons, great selections for them. They have constantly invested in the offensive line, which I love from this team. When you go back to, where was their first major addition in the offensive line? Well, really, it's Connor McGovern in the 3rd round in 2019. Tyler Biadasz in the 4th round in 2020. Let's see. Tyler Smith in the 1st round in 2022. Tyler Guyton in the 1st round in 2024, even though Tyler Guyton's been up and down. And this Tyler Booker in 2025. Like, they have heavily emphasized the offensive line, which I love that emphasis from them. Once again, the CeeDee Lamb and the Micah Parsons selections were fantastic for them. 2017 even, you've got, some misses, like Taco Charlton was a miss for this team, but hey, you got Chidobe Awuzie, you got Jordan Lewis, you got Xavier Woods. All right, those are solid selections there. Leighton Vander Esch was a good selection for them in 2018, even though his career didn't last as long as it could have. Michael Gallup, who was solid for them for a little bit. You got Dorrance Armstrong in the 4th, Dalton Schultz in the 4th. 2019, all right, Tristan Hill. Yeah, it didn't work out for them in the 2nd round. That's why it's definitely some hits and misses here with them. Connor McGovern, Tony Pollard, Michael Jackson then in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds. You had CeeDee Lamb in 2020. You had Trayvon Diggs in 2020. Tyler Biadasz in 2020. Osa Odigizua was a 3rd-round pick for this team in 2021. Deron Bland was a 5th-round pick in 2022. DeMarvion Overshown, if he's healthy, maybe he is that starting linebacker that they love in space, a will linebacker for them. Obviously, the Mozzie Smith pick didn't work out great for them. You get Cooper Beebe in the 3rd round, who I think has been solid. Ryan Flournoy is a 6th-round pick who's been really good for them in 2025, and 2026. I'm looking forward to seeing how these players develop. So I gave the I gave the Cowboys a C. Jerry in the chat, I don't know if that's Jerry Jones, maybe it is saying that this is a B. This could be a B. I think that I could argue that the Cowboys are a B here. Do I do it? Do I give them a B? I think the Cowboys have had solid drafts. I'm not trying to get bullied by the chat. You know what? I'll give him a B. I'll put him in the B. Put him in the B range. After kind of reading it out there, I'll give the Cowboys a B. The Denver Broncos next on the list. Broncos, I gave a B as well. If you go back to 2017 for the Denver Broncos, Garrett Bowles in the first round, obviously a great way to start it off here. DeMarcus Walker in the second round, didn't really pan out the way that they wanted to with him, but I mean, he was hurt though, wasn't he? Because he missed a bunch of time in the first couple of years of his career. What was his injuries? Oh, calf injury. Yeah, anyways, DeMarcus Walker in the second round there. Next year, you draft Bradley Chubb and Courtland Sutton. Okay, really nice. Boom, 1-2. Not the deepest drafts there in 2018 and 2017 when it came to longevity of these guys. But hey, if you're hitting on your early picks, that's what matters. And you got Garrett Bowles, you got Bradley Chubb, you got Courtland Sutton. Those are good picks there. 2019, Noah Fant, Dalton Reisner, Draymond Jones. I think those are solid. Drew Lock in the second round as well. You took Jerry Jeudy at 15. Judy's fine. You took him over CeeDee Lamb, which not ideal. But no, wait. That's who. Yes, yeah. Jerry Jeudy was 15, and then CeeDee Lamb was 17. Justin Jefferson as well at 22. But I don't want to play too revisionist history with that one. KJ Hamler in the second round, obviously a little bit of an overdraft. But hey, Lloyd Cushenberry in the third, Albert Okwuegbunam in the fourth, Justin Chernod in the fifth. Solid players. 2021, you got Pat Surtain, you got Javonte Williams, you got Quinn Miners, you got Baron Browning. These are good players there for you. 2022, Nick Bonito, Greg Dulcich. 2023, Marvin Mims, Drew Sanders, Riley Moss, who became a starting outside corner for you. 2024, you got your starting quarterback in Bo Nix. You got Joan Ellis, you got Troy Franklin, you got Arjun Estime, the GOAT. 2025, I like their draft here with Jahdae Barron, RJ Harvey, Pat Bryant. I think this is really solid. I think it is a really solid job over the last 10 years. Certainly nailing it with your picks that you had in the early parts of things in like 2017 and 2018. How 2019 was a strong draft from them as well. But I thought this is really solid. I would give the Broncos a B. I would put them in the B tier for how they have drafted. 2020 was really bad for the Broncos. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't great. I mean, I like Cushenberry as a player. Okwuegbunam's solid. Justin Chernod's okay. Right? I mean, like, you got, like, decent players there. But for the most part, yeah, I mean, Jerry Jeudy wasn't CeeDee Lamb or Justin Jefferson, which hurts, even though Judy's not, like, a bum at all. KJ Hamler, though, I liked KJ Hamler a lot, but 46 overall, that was high. And then Michael Ojemudia at number 77, obviously, that wasn't great for them either. But 2020 feels like their weakest draft, no doubt about it, to call that out. But I think for the most part, they do a really solid job. The Detroit Lions. I have the Detroit Lions in the A tier. Now, a good amount of this, if I remember correctly, does lean on what they have done lately. Because if you go back to 2017, Gerard Davis in the first round, not great. Tease Tabor in the second round, not great. Kenny Golladay in the third round. All right, Kenny Golladay has some flashes, but man, they were short-lived. Then it's like Jalen Reeves-Maybin was in the fourth that year. 2018, you get Frank Ragnow in the first round, who Frank Ragnow was a really good player, but Kerryon Johnson in the second really didn't pan out the way that you needed to. Nothing really to speak of outside of that in 2018. 2019, you get TJ Hawkinson, then it's Jelani Tavai, Amani Oruwariye in the fifth, but a lot of guys who were just not in the NFL anymore. 2020, Jeff Okudah, you draft him number 3 overall. He struggled, but then, man, he had the injuries that really held him back from ever becoming the corner that I think he was talented enough to become. You drafted DeAndre Swift in this draft as well. You got Julian Okwara, who's a good rotational edge rusher for you. Jonah Jackson, who is a spot starter along the offensive line for you as well. Not much there from the fourth round on in day 3 in 2020, but this is why the Lions become an A after this. And it's in the Brad Holmes era, since Brad Holmes took over in 2021. You've got Penei Sewell, Aleem McNeil, Ifeatu Melifonwu, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Derek Barnes, all in the 2021 draft. Levi Onwuzurike is in this draft as well, who, like, Levi Onwuzurike could have developed into a really great defensive lineman. He just had the injuries that he has dealt with. He had the back injury first and then the torn ACL after that. The 2022 draft, you get Aiden Hutchinson, you get Jameson Williams, you get Kirby Joseph, you get Malcolm Rodriguez, you get James Houston, you get Chase Lucas in the 7th round. 2023, you got Jahmyr Gibbs, you have Jack Campbell, you have Sam Laporta, you have Brian Branch. I mean, this is unbelievable run here. 2024, a little bit of a speed bump here, right? Terry Arnold, who has struggled, and it's Rake Sherrod Jr., who hasn't been able to be healthy. You drafted Giovanni Manu in the 4th round, who, hey, I get a developmental offensive lineman, but 4th round, that was rich there. You did get Christian Mahogany, who could be a starting interior offensive lineman for you, or at least a preferred backup guy in the 6th round there. 2025, I've talked about, like, Tyleik Williams, I wasn't the biggest fan of, but a solid football player. You get Tate Rowledge, who could be a starter for you as well. Isaac Tesla looks like he's just a highlight machine, and that's it. Like, just the highlight reel catches, but maybe he'll develop into a little bit more as well. And then this past draft, I really like this past draft for them as well with Blake Miller, Derek Moore, those guys. So, to me, I could have given the Lions B tier because of, the 2017 to 2019, not the best drafts, and I could have let that weigh them down a little bit. But Brad Holmes has done such an unbelievable job since he got there of not just drafting, but drafting in his own way. I mean, I was a critic of the 2023 draft. How high they took Jahmyr Gibbs, how high they took Jack Campbell. Right? I looked at those picks and I was like, dude, what are you doing? But somebody who is good at drafting isn't just good at drafting because they identify really good talent. It's also because they understand their team very well and their coaching staff very well. And I think that's why, even though it's a little bit of a tale of two halves, tale of the last decade, half decade, the last 5 drafts or whatever it's been since 2021, Holmes has done such an unbelievable job that I had to give the Lions an A. I think this is an A team here for Detroit. The Packers. Oh, this is going to be a tough one because I'm pretty sure I have them in the D tier. I do have them in the D tier. I don't think I can give them an F. I just don't think I can give the Packers an F. Kevin King in the 2nd round, Josh Jones in the 2nd round in 2017, Montravius Adams in the 3rd round. I mean, just it did not pan out for you. You draft Jamal Williams, you get Aaron Jones, so you got 2 good running back picks there in 2017, but those are day 3 picks. You draft Jair Alexander in the 1st round in 2018. Obviously, like, Jair was a phenomenal football player, but Josh Jackson in the 2nd round was a non-factor for you. And then your best picks are Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Equanimeous St. Brown, 5th and 6th round players. 2019, Rashawn Gary had flashes. He didn't turn into the player that you wanted him to be. It's why he's in Dallas right now and not still with the Packers. Darnell Savage, I really started to unravel there as his time in Green Bay started to wind down. I thought he was way too inconsistent. Elgton Jenkins is a good player, but hey, you didn't really get anything out of like Jay Sternberger, Kingsley Keke. You didn't really get anything out of any of those guys. You get Jordan Love in the 1st round in 2020, obviously a phenomenal selection. A.J. Dillon, Josiah DeGuara, not good for them. John Runyon, okay, but he's a 6th round pick. 2021, Eric Stokes, who was not the player that they needed him to be. Josh Myers is fine. Amari Rodgers did not work out for them. Tardell Slayton, again, funny enough, they drafted Cole Van Landen, who's great now for the Jacksonville Jaguars, but wasn't a factor for the Green Bay Packers. You have Isaiah McDuffie as well, but a lot of these names that I'm going to is like here's the good pick in the draft. Like, they're day 3 picks. 2022, okay, Quay Walker at number 22 overall, Devontae Wyatt, Christian Watson, Sean Ryan, Romeo Doubs, Zach Tom, Kingsley Enagbare. Like, you got Rasheed Walker. That's overall a good class for them in 2022. 2023 is a mixed bag because you got Lucas Van Ness at 13th overall. You got Luke Musgraves at 42. Not great, but then you got Tucker Kraft in the 3rd round, Jaden Reed in the 2nd round. Carrington Valentine's a starting corner for them. You got him in the 7th round, but do you want that to be the case for them? I think that's yet to be seen or proven. The following year, it's like, all right, Jordan Morgan. He hasn't totally earned a spot on the offensive line yet, but it certainly could be solidified this year. I love Edgerrin Cooper. I love Javon Bullard. Marshawn Lloyd's up and down. Tyron Hopper, I think, is going to be a good player for them. Evan Williams has been excellent for them as a 4th round pick. Last year, it's Matthew Golden, it's Anthony Belton, it's Savion Williams, it's Barron Sorrell. I think I got to give this a C, Tyler. I think I got to put them in C tier. I don't think it's been bad enough where I could put them in the F tier. I look at the other teams I've got sitting in the F tier right now, and even though I'm disappointed with how I feel the Packers could have done, I do not feel like there are enough misses from the Packers where I could put them in the F tier. So I'm gonna put them in the C tier there, even though it's a lot of up and down, I think, for the Green Bay Packers. The Houston Texans. Where did I have the Texans? I put the Texans in the B tier. So the Houston Texans in the B tier. I think it was pretty chaotic before the Caserio drafts. And I think Caserio has done a really nice job of stabilizing sort of the return on investment with their picks. And I think that having a good head coach like D'Amico Ryans is a great way to do that. You draft Deshaun Watson in the first round in 2017, so that's kind of where we start our journey here. You draft Zach Cunningham as well, who, okay, Zach Cunningham didn't prove to be a long-term valuable linebacker, but he was a tackling machine for a little bit. Hey, you get that in the second round, it's all right. You get Julian Davenport as well, Carlos Watkins. The next year, it was basically just Justin Reed in that third round. Nothing else for them. Titus Howard in the first round in 2019. Max Sharping, Charles Menihue, not the best draft there from them. Again, I told you it was a little chaotic before Caserio gets there. Ross Blaylock in 2020 as their first pick there. They did get Jonathan Grenard in the third round there in 2020. And then you get in 2021, okay, this is where things really start to turn around for them. Because, well, I guess I should mention as well, so you trade Deshaun Watson, you get all that draft capital back. That was excellent for them. We're about to get into how they use that draft capital there. But I also love that this team got aggressive in trading for Laramie Tunsil when he became available. Like, I think that's a positive use of your draft capital as well, which is something that we're going to talk about when we get to the Los Angeles Rams. It's like, hey, if I love how you use your draft capital when it came to trading for players that really helped you become a winning franchise and play really well, I think you get a little bit of bonus points for that as well. You didn't necessarily draft those players, but you used your draft assets in a certain way. So I love both of their big trades over the last 10 years with draft picks, whether that was acquiring Laramie Tunsil or trading away Deshaun Watson. So I think those are both positive viewpoints, I guess I should say, for the Houston Texans. 2021, you get Davis Mills in the third round, Nico Collins in the third round, obviously a steal for them, and NFLSC legend Roy Lopez in the sixth round. Then you get to 2022. Derek Stingley Jr. in the first round. Kenyon Green, all right, admittedly, Kenyon Green wasn't great for them, but Jalen Petrie in the second round. You get Dameon Pierce as well. The next year, you got C.J. Stroud, you got Will Anderson, you got Tank Dell, who was playing well before he got hurt. You get Juice Scruggs, Henry Toho, who's become a starting linebacker for them. 2024, Kamari Lassiter, Blake Fisher, Kalen Bullock, Cade Stover. That's why Kalen and Cade were right next to each other. It was messing me up. Then you get this, in 2025, it's Jaden Higgins, it's Ariante Ursary, it's Jalen Knoll, Woody Marks. And I like what they did this past draft as well. I think I like what the Texans have done. I've got them in the B tier. I think especially as of late, they've really stabilized sort of how they have drafted and some good players that are fitting well on this team. And I like the way that they navigated their big trades, whether it was trading away Deshaun Watson or trading for Laramie Tunsil. So I ended up putting them in the B tier. The Indianapolis Colts. I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. I give the Colts a B. I actually don't know if I'm going to get a lot of hate for this because some people absolutely love what Chris Ballard has done, their general manager. I am much more on the I like what Chris Ballard has done than I have hated it. Has it worked out perfectly well for them? Obviously not. But there are too many hits on day 1, day 2, and day 3 of this 10-year history here for Chris Ballard and the Indianapolis Colts for me to give it something lower than a B. 2017, Malik Hooker, he's still around in the league. He was good for them as a safety, but he wasn't, this transcendent safety that you're drafting and you're expecting to get at number 15th overall. And you think he's still a solid player. Look, Quincy Wilson didn't work out for them. Terrell Basham didn't work out for them. Marlon Mack obviously went through the injuries, unfortunately, but you get Grover Stewart in the 5th round as well. 2018, this 2018 class is very good for them. Quentin Nelson, Shaq Leonard, Braden Smith. You get Tyquan Lewis and Nyheim Hines in this draft as well. Darius Fountain is in this draft as well. Zaire Franklin in the 7th round, which is hilarious. Like right when Shaq Leonard started to go down, Zaire Franklin, his stock started to go up. So it's just 2 guys who were drafted in that 2018 class. 2019, Rock Ya-Sin, fine. He was a 2nd round pick for them. Obviously, they would have liked for him to be more, but EJ Speed, you're getting him in the 5th round. It wasn't the best 2019 class, but guys, honestly, like a lot of the weak points that we're going to talk about here for all of these teams, 2019 wasn't a great draft. So you're going to see a lot of weak points there. So you have to take that part into account as well. 2020, it's Michael Pittman Jr., it's Jonathan Taylor, it's Julian Blackmon. Isaiah Rodgers, funny enough, was drafted by them in the 6th round. And even though he didn't become a full-time starter with them, he didn't become a full-time starter until this past year with Minnesota. It is funny to kind of look at that and be like, hey, all right, they got that guy in the 6th round. Didn't pan out for them while he was there, but just an interesting point. You get Kwity Paye in 2021, and I think some people might look at I think that some people might look at Kwity Paye and say like, he's been disappointing for them. Look, he got picked 21 overall. And even though he hasn't like been a sack master for them, they needed a defensive lineman, and who are they going to pick after that? Right? I mean, Jalen Phillips is off the board at that point. Micah Parsons is off the board at that point. The defensive ends that were picked after Kwity Paye were Peyton Turner, Odafe Owe, Greg Rousseau. Okay, like I'll give you that one on Greg Rousseau. But Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, there's not, I'm not going to be overly critical about that one. You got Deo Odeyingbo as well. Will Fries in the 7th round. 2022, you got Alec Pierce, you got Bernard Ryman, you got Nick Cross. Really good players there. 2023. Okay, look, the Richardson pick at number 4 overall in 2023, objectively not great. But we've talked about this on this show. They were kind of at a point where they had to take a swing on a young quarterback. And they took a swing on one who had a ton of overall talent, and it just didn't work out for them. I mean, he's still on the team. Maybe it does work out for them long term. We're seeing quarterbacks as late bloomers in the NFL over the last couple of years, so maybe that is for Anthony Richardson as well, whose development was always going to take a little bit longer given the fact that he didn't play a ton while he was at Florida. But they were in the position where they had to draft a young quarterback. They had to do it. And they take Anthony Richardson, and it hasn't worked out so far. But you get Julius Brents, who I think is a good player when he's healthy. Unfortunately, he just hasn't been healthy. But you also get Josh Downs, you get Blake Freeland, you get Adetomiwa Adebawore, you get Jalen Jones in the 7th round who became a starting corner for them. 2024, Leatu Latu, A.D. Mitchell, Matt Goncalves, Tanner Bordellini, Jalen Carlies. Good draft. 2025, Tyler Warren, JT Tuimoloau, Jalen Travis, who I know they're excited about. You get Riley Leonard as well, DJ Giddens. Then this past draft, we really like C.J. Allen, A.J. Halsey, Jalen Farmer, Bryce Betcher, George Gums, Caden Curry, Seth McGowan, Deion Burks. Really like this draft. Really like this draft there for them. So I gave them, I put them in the B tier, but man, now I'm thinking about it, I kind of want to put them in the A tier. They just haven't had a lot of misses. Like, especially with their big-time picks. Like, Richardson obviously didn't work out for them, but given full context, you know what? Put him in the A tier. Put the Colts in the A tier. I'm doing it. I'm putting the Colts in the A tier. Come after me. Come after me. Actually, don't. I don't want to get my feelings hurt. Okay, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I have to go with an F here for Jacksonville. Because it has not been pretty. If you go back to 2017 for Jacksonville, Leonard Fournette, good volume player for them. But did he average more than 4 yards a carry when he was with the Jags at any point? 2019 he did. 2019 he averaged 4.3 yards per carry. But his rookie year is 3.9. 2018 it was 3.3. Year after that with Tampa is 3.8. So, I mean, Fournette was fine, but you take him number 4 overall. It's really high for running back. Cam Robinson has been a starting offensive tackle in the league, but he's kind of bounced around a little bit there. Not a lot to speak of outside of those picks. 2018 was bad. At 2018 for this team was Taven Bryan, number 29 overall. DJ Chark, who's not in the league anymore. Ronnie Harrison as well. The following year, you get Josh Hines Allen and Juwan Taylor. Okay, those are objectively good. I think that Quincy Williams in the third round, even though he didn't really break out for Jacksonville, he broke out when he was a member of the New York Jets. Solid. Gardner Minshew in the sixth. 2020, an absolute disaster. Like I talk about 2018 was really bad. 2020, absolute disaster. You drafted CJ Henderson at number 9 overall. Caleb Von Chason, who didn't break out for you, he broke out for other teams. Laviska Shenault, who's not in the league anymore. That was a bad draft for them. 2021, you draft Trevor Lawrence at number 1 overall, but how much credit am I going to give you for that? I do like the Travis Etienne picks. Tyson Campbell, Walker Little, Andre Sisco. Like, I like those players. 2021 was solid for me. 2022, unfortunately, I think that Trayvon Walker is a good football player. I want to be very clear. You picked him in front of Aiden Hutchinson. Aiden Hutchinson's better than him. Aiden Hutchinson goes one pick after. You picked the wrong defensive end. I don't think there's any way to say it. Again, there have been much more egregious this guy versus that guy draft regrets that have happened over the course of the NFL draft's lifetime. But you picked the wrong defensive end. Devin Lloyd in the first round. Later, okay, good pick. Luke Fortner, Chad Muma. Not great. Monteric Brown in the 7th. It's decent. You get Anton Harrison, who's been a starting offensive lineman for you in 2023. Brenton Strange, who's been obviously a really good player for you, but not a lot of high-impact guys outside of Parker Washington, who you get in the 6th round in 2023 as well. 2024, Brian Thomas Jr., elite rookie year. Big step back from him his sophomore year. Mason Smith in the 2nd round, not even on the team anymore. Javon Foster's not on the team anymore. You get Cam Little in that draft. You get Jerrion Jones as well. But then you have two drafts in 2025 and 2026 who I don't know what to do with yet, right? Caleb Ransaw missed his entire rookie year due to an injury. Wyatt Milam missed a lot of time due to injury as well. Jack Kaiser, Ryan Lane, those guys are special teams guys for you. Bashal Tutin looked good in the limited amount of time that he was able to practice with you or get on the field, excuse me. But it all kind of hinges on Travis Hunter, and he was hurt as well. So your first 3 picks of that draft, which would carry the most weight in 2025, missed a lot of time last year due to injury. So I don't really know what to do with that. I thought that was a little bit of an up and down draft when it came to where I would draft those players versus where Jacksonville would have drafted those players. But that's sort of I can't really give that a positive or a negative for them. And then I've talked about how much I really felt like they were just zigging the other way when a lot of other people were zagging when it came to their overall draft strategy for 2026. And so it's hard for me to spin that in a positive light, even though I don't want to be too harsh on it because these guys haven't even played yet. I don't think that there's a lot for Jacksonville, especially with 2 really bad draft classes in 2018 and 2020. There's just not a lot to hang your hat on outside of obvious picks that were supposed to be good. Josh Hines Allen, supposed to be good. I'll certainly give him credit for like Juwan Taylor in the 2nd round in 2019, but how much credit can I give you for picking Trevor Lawrence at number 1? I can't. Also, you traded, somebody in the chat pointed this out. Yeah, you traded all of that to go up and get Travis Hunter, which I like the aggressiveness. I think Travis Hunter's a hell of a football player, but if you can't get value out of him on offense and defense, all of a sudden the value of that trade changes as well. So, yeah, got to put the Jags in F tier. Sorry, Jags fans. I don't mean to pile on this offseason, but that's where I got to put them. The Kansas City Chiefs. I put the Kansas City Chiefs in the A tier. I had the Chiefs in the A tier. And it's a little bit of a complicated A tier here. But it starts with Patrick Mahomes in 2017. And it's not just Patrick Mahomes, right? It's getting very aggressive to go trade up to get Patrick Mahomes. Right? And you're picking Patrick Mahomes over to Deshaun Watson. Like they were they traded with conviction that this was their guy, that this guy was going to be good. And obviously he's turned out to be the best quarterback in the NFL. So you trade up and you get Patrick Mahomes. I like that from them. You get Tano Pasano and Kareem Hunt after that in rounds 2 and round 3. 2018, you didn't have a first-round pick because of that trade. They draft Braylon Speaks. Obviously not a great selection for them. Derek Nottie, solid football player. Where did Derek Nottie play? He did play all of his career in Kansas City. I thought he had gone somewhere else. Derek Nottie's more than a solid football player. That's a really good pick for him to play that many years in Kansas City. So, okay, there we go. I'm giving him credit for the Derek Nottie pick because I think that's a really solid one there. 2019, Mecole Hardman in 2019 in the second round. I think that the Mecole Hardman selection in the second round brings up a point that if there's any areas where you would really poke holes at Brett Veach and what he has done as their general manager, it's the lack of being able to get good skill position players. Because people are harsh on like the Mecole Hardman selection, the Sky Moore selection, Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy. Obviously, when Rashee Rice has been on the field, he's been a good player. Xavier Worthy, very up and down, very boom or bust. And I think that there's just been some overall criticism of how he has acquired those skill position players, and I think that's where he's failed. But man, so many good defensive players, right? Juan Thornhill, Willie Gay, Nick Bolton. I mean, on the offensive side, getting Creed Humphrey in the second round, obviously that's fantastic. Getting Trey Smith in the sixth, excellent pick for you. Trent McDuffie in 2022, George Karlaftis 2022, Brian Cook, Leo Chanel, Josh Williams, Jalen Watson, Isaiah Pacheco, elite 2022 draft from this team. 2023, you get Shamari Connor in the fourth round as well. Felix Anudike-Uzomah, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, obviously not great picks for them. 2024 could have gone better with Xavier Worthy, Kingsley Suamataia. Jaden Hicks looked great his rookie year, and then, man, it's just a really big step back. Josh Simmons could be a great player for them. You got Noel Williams, you got Ashton Gillotte, you got Omar Norman Lott as well from that 2025 class, and then obviously this past draft, this past April, Mansour Delane, Peter Woods, our Mason Thomas, guys that we're really excited about. It has not been great acquiring the skill players. There's no doubt. But I think this has to be an A type of a haul over the last 10 years. They have done a great job understanding the players this coaching staff has wanted, right? I don't think it's all Brett Veach. I think it's Andy Reid certainly right there as well, handpicking a lot of these players. And for a lot of the specific reasons, obviously you look at explosiveness from a lot of these guys and wanting to get faster, and that's what they're going for. And by nature, when you get a lot of these players who are a little bit smaller and are speed emphasis players, guess what? There's going to be some risk involved. That's just how it goes, especially with where you're drafting these guys later in the draft, right? Mecole Hardman was a second round pick at number 56 overall. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 32 overall. Obviously, it wasn't a good pick, but hey, you're picking him 32 overall there. Sky Moore. All right, people go after the Sky Moore pick in 2022. He gets picked at 54th overall. What were the wide receivers after pick number 54? Shoot. You got Sky Moore sitting there at 54, which is where you picked him. Alec Pierce and George Pickens go the two picks directly in front of you. Now, is it great the fact that Trey McBride's sitting there staring at you at 55 going to the Arizona Cardinals? Obviously not, but I think they were honed in on wide receiver at that time. I mean, the wide receivers that were picked after Sky Moore there at 54, Velus Jones at 71, Jalen Tolbert, David Bell, Danny Gray. These are all in order. I'm reading these in order here. So, all that to say, Veach has struggled, but I don't want to just say it's all Veach. Like, I think that the Chiefs in general have struggled to get consistency from their skill position players. They've gone after certain traits to be a more explosive offense to pair with what Pat Mahomes is able to do. But it has definitely come with a risk and reward proposition, and I think that the risk part of it has shown up a lot with skill position players. But even with the struggles of skill position players, this is an A-tier draft here for the Kansas City Chiefs. The Raiders. Unfortunately, Raiders fans, I think that you know what's happening here. This is an F. This is an F here for the Las Vegas Raiders. They have had 6 general managers, including interim general managers, since 2017. I love what John Spytek is doing. You look at the 2025 class and the 2026 class, there's a lot of guys that you can feel good about. A lot of guys that are going to help change this franchise. But if you go back to 2017, I don't think there's a team with a lower hit rate in the NFL draft than the Las Vegas Raiders. 2017 draft, Garyon Conley, Obi Melifonwu, Eddie Vanderdoes, David Sharp's the only guy from that entire draft who is still in the league. And you had 9 picks in this draft. 2018, Colt Miller, good pick. Then PJ Hall, 18 in the second round. Brandon Parker, Arden Key, Mo Hurst. Oh, man, I love Mo Hurst at Michigan. Man, I thought he was going to be so good in the league. 2019, you draft Clelin Ferrell at 4 overall. Then it's Josh Jacobs later at 24. Jonathan Abrams at 27. Ferrell and Abrams, just terrible for you. Trayvon Mullen the same way. Max Crosby in the 4th absolutely saves you here. Hunter Renfrow in the 5th actually kind of does as well. 2020, it's Henry Ruggs, it's Damon Arnett, it's Lynn Bowden Jr., it's Brian Edwards. I mean, just another horrible return on investment class for you. 2021, sure, you have Trayvon Merrick, you have Divine Diablo, you have Malcolm Kuntz, you have Nate Hobbs, but you also missed badly on Alex Leatherwood. 2022, it's Dylan Parham, it's Zamir White. Not much outside of that. Tyree Wilson in the 1st round in 2023. Michael Mayer, Byron Young, Trey Tucker. These are okay players. Tyree Wilson hasn't been. That's why he's not on the team anymore. And then he gets to 2024. Obviously, it's Brock Bowers, it's Jackson Powers Johnson, who I think could be a really good starting interior offensive lineman in the league. Delmar Galais has been able to fill in as a starter at offensive tackle. It's certainly been better as of late. Like 24, 25, 26, a lot better, especially with the Spy Tech drafts. But man, that is tough. That is a really, really tough 10-year sample size there for the Las Vegas Raiders. So they've got to be in the F tier. The Los Angeles Chargers. I think the Chargers are next, right? Yeah, Chargers are next. Chargers were a tough one for me. I ended up putting the Chargers in the C tier here. But this was a tough one for me. I went very back and forth on this. If you go all the way back to 2017, so that was with Telesco. Because when did Telesco get hired? Telesco got hired in 2013, and he was general manager until 2023, and then Joe Ortiz took over in 2024. So a lot of this is Telesco here. Mike Williams, who is a good player, had the injuries as of late, but he missed time in his rookie year. What was it for? What did he miss time? Chad, what did he miss time for? In his rookie year. Herniated disc in his lower back. That was it. Inactive for the first 6 games, and then he played the rest of the... He had a neck injury. Somebody in the chat saying a neck injury. He had a neck injury at Clemson. Right? I believe that was him. Yeah. That was when he collided with the goalpost. That was scary. But anyways, so you have Mike Williams in the 1st round in 2017. Forrest Lamp in the 2nd round. Not great. Dan Feeney, Rayshon Jenkins. Okay, decent depth players. 2018, you have Derwin James, 17th overall. Obviously good for you. Kaiser White eventually became a starter for you. Questenberry has been around the league. Uchenna Nwosu in the 2nd round, who Uchenna Nwosu is better for the Seahawks than he was with the Chargers, but still a decent football player, still a fine 2nd round pick. 2019, not good here. Jerry Tiller in the 1st round, Nasir Adderley in the 2nd round. Then you got Trey Pipkins, who's solid for you. Drew Tranquil, who has been better with the Kansas City Chiefs than he was with the Los Angeles Chargers, but at least those names kind of look good on the draft profile there. But the first 2 picks in Tillery and Adderley, not good for you. You picked Justin Herbert in 2020, which I'm giving them credit for, but I can't give them too much credit for it because Burrow and Tua were already off the board at that point. So it's just kind of the obvious pick there. But you definitely obviously got a great one in Justin Herbert. You traded up for Kenneth Murray, which is bad. I mean, there's no way around it. And then the only other player worth mentioning in that draft class was Alohi Gilman. You pick Rashawn Slater in 2021. Asante Samuel Jr. and Josh Palmer in the 2nd and 3rd round in 2021. McKitty after that was nothing for you. Neither were any of the other players there in 2021. Zion Johnson in the 1st round in 2022. Was not the player that they needed him to be, drafting him at 17th overall. JT Woods in the 3rd round was their next selection, and I don't even think he's in the league anymore. Isaiah Spiller as well. You get Jamari Sawyer and Agbonia as well on day 3 in the 5th and 6th rounds. 2023, draft Quentin Johnston ahead of, wasn't it Zay Who was it? Quinn Johnson in front of Zay Flowers and Jordan Addison. Objectively not great. Tui Pelotu's a good player for you. Diane Henley's a good player for you. Scott Matlock as a defensive tackle fullback is the man. 2024, you get Joe Alt, Lab McConkey, Junior Colson, Justin Boygby. Tarheeb Still, Cam Hart, you getting those two guys in the 5th round to be impact defensive backs for you. That's really nice. Amarian Hampton, Trey Harris, Jamari Caldwell, Keandre Lambert-Smith, Aronde Gadsden, RJ Mickens. I put them in the B tier. You know what? Let's move them up. I got them in C. I think the Telesco drafts were tough. Some of those were really tough, but I think as of late, they've been really nice. I've liked what they have done, and there's more solid picks than I think I thought originally when I was going through the research here. So I'm going to put the Chargers actually in B tier. I'm moving them up from C to B. I think that's fair for the way that they have drafted lately. The Los Angeles Rams. This is going to be controversial. This is going to be controversial here. I'm giving the Rams an A. I think the Rams are an A tier. And here's where you have to start the conversation. Because they don't pick in the first round. But you look at how they've used the first round assets. And they're home runs, right? I mean, okay, let's look at how they have used their first round picks since I'm going to 2016. I know we're talking about only 2017, but like 2016, they draft Jared Goff, which I think matters here. So you have Jared Goff, who's eventually traded for Matthew Stafford, right? In 2017, they didn't have a pick because they traded that to the Titans to go up and get Jared Goff, all right? 2018, you trade your first round picks for Brandon Cooks. 2019, you traded back with the Atlanta Falcons, so you didn't have a first-round pick there either. 2020 and 2021, you didn't have first-round picks there because you traded them for, Jalen Ramsey, who helped you win a Super Bowl. 2022 and 2023 were part of the Matthew Stafford trade, so you went and you got Matthew Stafford. You drafted Jared Verse in the first round in 2024. 2025, you didn't have a pick because you fleeced the Atlanta Falcons by moving back a couple of spots and getting a first-round pick for them there, which you then used on Ty Simpson, and then you traded your original pick as part of the deal to go get Trent McDuffie. And then in the 2027 first-round pick, you traded for Myles Garrett, among other things. You traded for Myles Garrett. So they've done unbelievable when it comes to the assets that they have attained player-wise from the draft assets they have had, especially in the first round. Now, if you go back to like 2017, there's enough solid picks here from them over the last 10 years where you can look at them using their draft capital in aggressive ways for pro players to say that this is an A tier type of last 10 years for them when it comes to how they've utilized draft picks, right? 2017, you get Cooper Kupp, you get Josh Reynolds. Obviously, Cooper Kupp meaning a lot more than Josh Reynolds, but I think those are really solid football players for you. 2018, you get Joseph Noteboom in the 3rd round. We're starting in the 3rd round here. You get Joseph Noteboom. You get John Franklin Lemire in the 4th round. You get Ogbonia Okoronkwo in the 5th round. You get Sebastian Joseph Day in the 6th round. 2019, Taylor Rapp, solid player, 2nd round. David Long in the 3rd round. Greg Gaines in the 4th round. Nick Scott in the 7th. David Edwards in the 5th. 2020, you get Cam Akers in the 2nd. You get Terrell Burgess in the 3rd. Jordan Fuller in the 6th. 2021, Tutu Atwell. All right, Tutu Atwell was kind of, again, a speed swing of the bat there. But Ernest Jones, Bobby Brown, Ernest Brown the 4th. Ben Skowronek, solid. 2022, all right, Logan Bruss, not a good first pick for you. It's in the 3rd round. To pick 104. That was their first selection in 2022. But when you look at that 2022 class, it also contains Kobe Durant, Kyron Williams, Quentin Lake, Darion Kendrick. Good players. 2023, Steve Avila. Again, this is all without having first-round picks. Steve Avila, Byron Young, Kobe Turner, Warren McClendon, Puka Nacua, Davis Allen. 2024, it's Jared Verse, it's Braden Fisk, it's Blake Corum, it's Cam Kitchens. It's Brennan Jackson. It's Tyler Davis. It's Jordan Whittington, special teams beast for you. 2025, Terrence Ferguson, Josiah Stewart, Kanata Mumfield. They have done a good enough job not picking in the top, certainly 32, but also the top 50 so many times. Understanding that they're always in this position to hit the gas pedal and actually hitting the gas pedal and not getting scared of doing so over and over again. I don't think I skipped Kyron Williams. I see somebody in the chat saying he skipped Kyron Williams. I don't think I skipped Kyron Williams. I love Kyron Williams. Hopefully I shouted him out. So, yeah, I need an A tier here for the Rams. I need an A tier for him. I thought about S tier. I did think about S tier for this team. I think I ultimately didn't go with the S tier just because you look at some of their like first selections, right? Like Gerald Everett was their first selection in 2017. Not really an impact player for them. Tutu Atwell in 2021, not really an impact player for them. Logan Bruss, who I mentioned, their first selection. Again, like it was in the third round, but there have been a handful of times where it was like, all right, your first swing of the bat didn't exactly go well for you. But if you wanted to argue with me that this is S tier for the players that they've acquired via trade, the pro players that they've acquired via trade, and then obviously some of the players that they've gotten in the mid and late. God, man, actually, am I convincing myself here? I might be convincing myself here. All right, put him in S tier, Tyler. I guess the more I'm thinking about it, I think the reason why I had them a little bit lower and I had them in the A tier is there were those first couple of picks in those first couple of drafts that you did not get a lot for. But there are, to the chat's point, you are correct. There are too many hits in round 4, round 5, round 6 for this team who have genuinely been difference makers for the depth that they have had and competing for playoff spots and Super Bowls. I think this has to be an S tier. I think this has got to be an S tier here. Somebody said that they think that I don't have any S tier teams. I do. I have 2 more S tier teams. You guys can guess whichever one you want. But the Rams are now one of them, and now there are 2 other teams that will be in the S tier. So, yeah. With that said, we're moving on to the Miami Dolphins, which is the furthest from the S tier. The Miami Dolphins are getting an F from me. Let's take it back to 2017 here for the Miami Dolphins. Find themselves in the F tier. The 2017 draft doesn't start out great. Charles Harris, Raekwon McMillan, Corday Tankersley, Isaac Asiata, Devon Gottschalk. You got him in the 5th round, but that's about it. 2018, Minka Fitzpatrick, very good football player. Mike Gesicki, solid tight end. Jerome Baker, solid football player. Oh, this is the Kalen Ballage draft. I forgot. Durham Smythe in this draft as well. You got him in the 4th round. In 2019, Christian Wilkins, 13 overall. Then it's Michael Dieter at 2019 in the 3rd round. Excuse me. Andrew Van Ginkel in the 5th round. Obviously, getting Van Ginkel in the 5th round is a fantastic pick for you. In 2020, you drafted 2 at number 5 overall ahead of Justin Herbert. That's an L. There's no other way to say it. Austin Jackson, who became a starting offensive tackle for you, solid pick, but Noah Igbenogany at number 30 overall, not good. Robert Hunt, great pick for you. Really good player. Playing in Carolina now, so obviously that's not ideal, but really good player there. Brandon Jones, solid safety for you, but okay. Not really much outside of that there. The Dolphins have really struggled, I think, with their day 3 selections. 2021, you got Jalen Waddle. You get Jalen Phillips. You get Javon Holland. Really good 1, 2, 3 there. The 2021 draft is the strong draft here for the Miami Dolphins. But, man, 2022 and 2023, I mean, these drafts, outside of getting Devon Achane in the 3rd round, these drafts really set the Miami Dolphins back. So they didn't have 1st-round picks because they traded for Tyreek Hill. Obviously, Tyreek Hill was phenomenal for them. It didn't matter because it didn't lead to sustaining success, but that was a good trade for them. But when you look at what they were able to draft, they had 8 selections in 2022 and 2023. Those 8 selections were Channing Tindall, Eric Ezukanma, Cameron Good, Skylar Thompson, Cam Smith, Devon Achane, who I mentioned is good, Elijah Higgins, and Ryan Haynes. That's, yeah, and the tampering. Yeah, the tampering. Losing a 1st-round pick for the tampering obviously hurt them as well. That's tough. That sets you back. And I think that really set the depth and the longevity of the Miami Dolphins back a lot. This has also been a team that has not been able to prioritize the offensive line the way that they needed to. 2024, Chop Robinson. We'll see what his potential is and his ceiling is. Patrick Paul, I think, has been a really solid offensive tackle starter for you, so I like where Patrick Paul is going there. Malik Washington might even be wide receiver 1 for them this year, and they got him in the 6th round, so hey, maybe that's a huge win for them. Last year, Kenneth Grant, Jonas Savanaia was bad for them. They've really failed to address the offensive line in ways that they have really needed to, and that's why you draft Caden Proctor this past year in the 1st round. But to me, the Dolphins are in the F tier. There's just, when you look at those 2017, 2018 was obviously better, but then, like 2019, 2020 drafts, I mean, they did not have the long-standing talent that the Miami Dolphins needed, and I don't think that there's any way to give them anything other than an F over the last 10 years. Let's see. Minnesota Vikings. See, this is a tough one. The chef's really putting the pressure on me here with the Vikings because I had them in the D tier. All right, let's read through some of these, and then I'll decide whether I want to make them a C tier team or an F tier team. 2017 draft. Well, actually, Vikings GM history. Since 2017, it was Rick Spielman up until 2021. It was Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah from 2022 to 2025. And now they have Nolan Teasley. Teasley, excuse me. 2017, Dalvin Cook, good football player. How many 1,000-yard seasons did he have for Minnesota? He had 4 in a row. Yeah, because what did he missed a ton of time in his rookie year. What happened his rookie year? He tore his ACL his rookie year. Damn. So you draft Dalvin Cook in the 2nd round of 2017. Pat Elflein, Jaleel Johnson, Bucky Hodges, Danny Isadora. Man, these are blasts from the past names. Jack Tosho. Man. So obviously the Dalvin Cook pick was good, but 2018, Mike Hughes, Brian O'Neill, great for them in the 2nd round. Tyler Conklin at tight end, Jalen Holmes at defensive line, Daniel Carlson in the 5th. Man, Carlson was cut immediately. Man, yikes. He went 0 for 4. He's picking the 5th round. Made his NFL debut against the San Francisco 49ers. Converted all 3 extra points. Damn. Missed a field goal in overtime. And he was cut the following day. Man, tough business. Tough business. Anyways, Garrett Bradbury, Irv Smith in 2019. Oliudo in the 6th round. Chris Boyd in the 7th. Alexander Madison in the 3rd. 2020, obviously, you get Justin Jefferson, which is huge. You trade Stephon Diggs, and you get a pick back, and you get Justin Jefferson there. Jeff Gladney, Cameron Dantzler, Ezra Cleveland, Blake Brendel, Josh Metellus. 2021, you get Christian Darrisaw, Kellen Mond in the 3rd, which is bad. Chaz Surratt in the 3rd, Wyatt Davis in the 3rd. Man, yeah, that was not good. That was not a good draft. Cam Bynum in the 4th. Amir Smith-Marset. Oh, yeah, Jalen Twyman in the 6th. 2022, Lewis Seen, Andrew Booth, Ed Ingram, Brian Asamoah. Bad draft. 2023 is Jordan Addison, Mekhi Blackman. About half Mekhi Becton's size. 2024 was the McCarthy draft. Dallas Turner, Walter Rouse. 2025 is Don Jackson, Ty Felton. I think it's got to be an F, Tyler. I think it's got to be an F. Yeah. Just not good Spielman drafts at the tail end there. And then, Kwesi's drafts were very underwhelming, unfortunately. Yeah, I think it's got to be an F. The Patriots. Yeah, it's going to be an F. If I can't put them in the D tier. They were in the D tier. But just from the Belichick drafts alone, I think this has to be an F here, going back to 2017. Because for the Patriots, I mean, it's been better lately. I've liked what the Patriots have done lately. Like, if you look at 2025 and 2026, there's a lot of solid players there in that draft, right? 2025, Will Campbell, through all the debates of his ups and downs and struggles and where's his ceiling, I think he's a solid football player. Trayvon Henderson is a good splash player for them. He's a type of player and the skill set that they needed. And Kyle Williams going to have a breakout season this year. Jared Wilson's a good player. Craig Woodson was excellent last year. And so I like that class. I like what they did in 2026. But man, if you go all the way back to 2017, they're picking in the third round. They're picking Derek Rivers, who was on the team, like a year? Dedrick Wise, you get him in the fourth, but that's a four-player class. 2018, it's Isaiah Wynn, it's Sony Michel, it's Duke Dawson. I mean, your best player at that point was Braxton Berrios. I mean, Sony Michel obviously just had the injury issues, but... No, because how many games did Isaiah Wynn start for them? Yeah, I mean, he started his second and third year in the league, but then they let him walk. 2019 was N'Keal Harry, Jawan Williams, Chase Winovich, Damian Harris, Yalda Froldholt, Byron Cowart. 2020, Kyle Duggar, Josh Uche, Anthony Jennings. Yeah, then the back-to-back tight end picks. You get Michael Onwenu in the sixth, who was the best value for you there. 2021, you got Mac Jones and Christian Barmore, Ramondre Stevenson in the fourth. That's a solid draft for them, obviously. 2022, then, it's Cole Strange, it's Tyquan Thornton, Marcus Jones, Jack Jones. You get Christian Gonzalez in 2023 because it's a gift from the Commanders from not picking him. But then, yeah, this is the huge class from them where it was like, okay, Keon White's not even on the team anymore. Marte Mapu has been in and out of the starting lineup. Sidney So, Antonio Mafi. Like this, they get Pop Douglas and Kayshon Boutte in this class, which is nice. But then the following draft, it's like Jalen Polk in the second, not even on the team anymore. Javon Baker in the fourth, not on the team anymore. Caden Wallace, Layden Robinson. I don't know how well those guys are going to be if they're ever asked to be starters. You get Drake May at 3 overall, which obviously is franchise changing for you, but I think Patriots has to be an F. This has to be an F. We got to put them in the F tier. There's no other way around it here for the Patriots. The New Orleans Saints. Hold on, I'm going to clear the billions of tabs that I have before I pull up the Saints. I think I had the Saints in the C tier, and I did. And let me tell you why. The 2017 class, which counts here, is one of the greatest draft classes you're ever going to see. It's Marshawn Lattimore. It's Ryan Ramczyk. It's Marcus Williams. It's Alvin Kamara. It's Alex Anzalone. It's Trey Hendrickson. Just phenomenal players. Rounds 1 through 3. High-impact players at major positions that allowed the Saints to be one of the best teams in their division for years and years to come. The following year, they got aggressive and they traded up for Marcus Davenport, which I don't think Davenport's a bad player. He was just hurt a lot. So that one's tough to judge too negatively. You get Eric McCoy and CJ Gardner-Johnson in the second and fourth round in 2019 because you didn't have a first-round pick because you traded it for to move up to go get Marcus Davenport. But to get Eric McCoy in the second round, that's great. You get Zach Bond in the third round the following year, Adam Troutman in the third round as well. Cesar Ruiz was your pick in the first round, which, is Cesar Ruiz the most reliable interior offensive lineman in the NFL? Or I should say, you know what? I shouldn't say reliable because I feel like he started a ton of games for them. But is he the highest ceiling guy? No, but I think he has started a lot of games for them. Peyton Turner in the first round of 2021, obviously not great, but Pete Warner, Paulson Adebo right after that. Those are good players. Chris Olave in the first round of 2022. Trevor Penning in the first round. Obviously didn't work out for them there, but Alontae Taylor's a good player. You got him in the second round. 2023 was tough. 2023 was a tough draft for them. Brian Brzee, Isaiah Foskey, Kendre Miller, Nick Saldiveri, Jake Haener. None of those guys really worked out for you. But Talize Fuanga, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Spencer Rattler obviously started a little bit for you in 2024, so you feel good about those guys there. 2025, you got Kelvin Banks and Tyler Shuck. Jonas Sanker was a really good player for them last year in his rookie season. I think Denny Stutzman could be a starter for them eventually. I think that C tier is pretty solid for them there. They've had some swings and misses, but especially if you're including that 2017 class, I think that the C tier for the Saints, I could see an argument for B tier, but I'm not quite there yet for them. So I'm going to go C tier here for the New Orleans Saints. The Giants. Let's see. Where did I have the Giants? I got the Giants in the C tier as well. I think people are going to look at a lot of their swings and misses and want them to be in not S tier, F tier. I just can't get there. Right? 2017 for this team, Evan Ingram in the first round, Dalvin Tomlinson is in the second round. Solid players, right? Davis Webb was right after that. Wayne Gallman was right after that in the third and fourth round. 2018, you got Saquon Barkley, who we talk about him at number 2 overall, the value of that, but really good football player, obviously. Still one of the best running backs in the NFL. Will Hernandez in the second round for them. You get B.J. Hill in the third. 2019, Daniel Jones. Again, like you say, like, hey, Daniel Jones didn't work out for them, but, DJ looked pretty good last year with the Colts, albeit in an offense that was very much tailored towards what he did well and was able to make things pretty easy on him. But he's not the worst quarterback I've ever seen in my life. What a compliment there. You get Dexter Lawrence at number 17 overall. DeAndre Baker after that, not great. But then Julian Love in the fourth round. You get Darius Slayton in the fifth. Corey Ballantyne in the sixth. 2020, it's Andrew Thomas, Xavier McKinney. Those are really good players. And yeah, sure, like after that, it wasn't great for them. But you're nailing some of these early picks. Kadarius Toney at 21. Objectively, very bad selection. Gator great, but objectively a bad selection. Azeez Ojulari you got in the second round after that. 2022, Kayvon Thibodeau, Evan Neal. Kayvon, you kind of picked where you did because you didn't have the option to pick either of the other guys, right? You didn't have the option to pick Trayvon Walker. You didn't have the option to pick Aiden Hutchinson. Evan Neal, Charles Cross still on the board. That was a tough one. Obviously, that's not a good pick for them. But you get Wan'Dale Robinson in the second round, who ended up being productive until, obviously he signed now with the Tennessee Titans. You got Daniel Bellinger. You got Micah McFadden. You got Dayton Belton. Cordell Flotz in this class as well. 2023, Deonte Banks, bad. John Michael Schmitz, not good. Jalen Hyatt, not good. 2023 was not a good draft for them. I like the 2024 draft. Malik Neighbors is a hell of a football player. Drew Phillips is great. Theo Johnson's good, or at least good as a reserve player. Tyrone Tracy, I think, is a good player for you. Tyler Newman isn't as good as I thought he would be, but I think he's solid. 2025, you got Abdul Carter at number 3 overall. You got Jackson Dart, who maybe he ends up being an absolute steal for you at number 25. I love Cam Scadaboo as well. I think Marcus Bowe is a versatile interior offensive lineman. Darius Alexander, I've got some faith in to get in that defensive line rotation, especially with Dexter Lawrence no longer there. And you got some decent high ceiling guys that you drafted in 2026 as well. So I think this is a C tier for the New York Giants. I'm going C tier for them. I think that there are the obvious stings. DeAndre Baker, not great. Kadarius Toney, not great. Evan Neal, not great. Deonte Banks, not great. And I think those speak very loudly for people. But when you look at their total draft hauls over the last 10 years, I don't think I go less than the C tier here for the New York Giants. What about the Jets? The New York Jets. C tier as well. I think it's C tier for the Jets. I don't think especially with no D tier, I don't think that they've done enough to warrant an F tier here for the New York Jets. You draft Jamal Adams at 6 overall in 2017. That's how we started things out there. And Jamal Adams was an impact player for them. Obviously, he didn't turn out to be like the long-term impact player for the New York Jets, but he was a high-impact player for them while he was there. You got Marcus May as well, so really good safety picks, but not much after that. I mean, this is the Ardarius Stewart draft, Chad Hansen draft, Jordan Leggett draft. Not much of guys that really stuck around and were high-impact players. Sam Darnold in 2018, I got to give him credit for it. No, I'm just kidding. I can't give him credit for it. You take Sam Darnold at number 3, and obviously it just doesn't work out for them. The Zach Wilson pick as well. I mean, if you just want to look at the quarterbacks and say, hey, they had 2 opportunities to take these 2 quarterbacks in the top 3, and it didn't work out, I'd give them an F tier. That's that. If you want to hang your hat on that and say that's how I'm fundamentally going to grade the Jets, I can't really fight you too much. But, picking Sam, giving Sam a chance. To me, it was much more of a coaching and an organizational failure just outside of, drafting these certain players. Nathan Shepard's right after that in 2018 in the third round. Fola Fudukasi in the sixth round in 2018 as well. 2019, you draft Quinn Williams. Third round, you draft Ja'Kai Polite, which was lighting a draft pick on fire, unfortunately. Chuma Udoga was a good swing and reserve offensive tackle for you. You get Blake Cashman in the fifth, too. Mekhi Becton over Tristan Wirfs in 2020 obviously stings. That one's tough. That one's really tough. Denzel Mims, Ashton Davis, Jabari Zuniga, LaMichael P. Ryan. Like, the 2020 draft was a disaster for the New York Jets. There's no way around it. 2021, Zach Wilson didn't work out for them. Elijah Vera Tucker's a really good player. I think Michael Carter's a good day 3 pick because you get to the fourth round there for him. They had Elijah Moore in the second round. Obviously, Elijah Moore didn't work out for them either. Jamie Sherwood is a fifth round player, is solid. Jason Pinnock is solid. Michael Carter, the second is solid for them there. Brandon Eccles is solid. Again, these are day 3 selections. 2022, Sauce Gardner, really good football player. You drafted a good football player. Garrett Wilson, Jermaine Johnson, Breece Hall. Those 4 picks, really good football players for you. You got 4 really good football players with your first 4 picks in 2022. I like Will McDonald in 2023 in the first round. Joe Tittman's a good versatile interior offensive lineman for you there as well in the second round. Didn't really have anything to write home about in the third round that year, but 2024, you draft Olu Fashanu, really good player. Malachi Corley did not work out for you at all. You get Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis too. And then last year, or sorry, I should say 2025, Armand Membu, Mason Taylor, Azarie Thomas, Arian Smith was not a good pick for them, but we kind of knew that on draft day. He was way overdrafted where he was at 110. Malachi Moore, you draft in the fourth round, who's a rotational good defensive back for you. So if I had a D tier, I would put the Jets in the D tier. Man. Should I put him in the F tier? Is this an F tier drafting team? It might be. I didn't want to do it. Connor's not here. He's high on life right now as a new dad. I didn't want to do it to him, Tyler. I think I might have to, though. I think if it's either a C tier or an F tier, sadly, I think the Jets are an F tier. Man. Sorry, Connor. Glad you're not here for this. You didn't deserve to see that. The Philadelphia Eagles are S tier. No question about it. Absolutely no question about it. The Philadelphia Eagles over the last 10 years, Howie Roseman has been their general manager for, I think, the last 15 or 16 years. So he's had his hand on all these drafts, and there is no way around the Eagles being an S tier drafting team. 2017, it's Derek Barnett. Okay, they took a chance on Sidney Jones coming off of the injury in the second round. It didn't work out for them. But after that, Rasul Douglas, Matt Collins, solid football players that have been around a long time, still in the league now. 2018, Dallas Goedert, Josh Sweat, Jordan Mailata there in that draft in the second, fourth, and seventh round. 2019, admittedly, bad draft, right? This is the one blunder here, but I said this a couple minutes ago. Well, it's probably 30 minutes ago now. 2019 kind of looks bad for like every team. Every team's 2019 draft was bad because the 2019 draft was bad. But Andre Dillard, Miles Sanders, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, it just was not a good draft in 2019. 2020, you draft Jalen Reagor ahead of Justin Jefferson. Admittedly, not great. But you get Jalen Hurts in that draft, the quarterback who ended up winning you a Super Bowl. You get that in the second round. K'Von Wallace in the fourth round is a good football player. Jack Driscoll, who's a depth offensive lineman for you. Quez Watkins, who is a defensive, a depth wide receiver for you. And then you start getting into Howie just being on an absolute heater. An absolute heater. 2021, Devontae Smith, Landon Dickerson, Milton Williams. Kenneth Gainwell's in this draft as well. 2022, Jordan Davis, Cam Jurgens, Nakobe Dean, Grant Calcaterra in the sixth. 2023, it's Jalen Carter, it's Nolan Smith, it's Tyler Steen, it's Sidney Brown, Keely Ringo, Moro Ojomo. 2024, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Jalix Hunt, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. And then this 2025, Jihad Campbell, Andrew Makuba, Ty Robinson. Antoine Powell-Ryland, Ismail Munden. He's been just an absolute heater, man. An absolute. This is a S tier type of a team when it comes to drafting. The Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't know because they're in D tier for me on my notes, but we don't have a D tier here. So again, building up the suspense. 2017 was great for this team. You get TJ Watt at 30th overall. You get Juju Smith-Schuster in the second round, who's a productive player for you. You also drafted James Conner, who was your workhorse back in the third round. Really nice 2017 draft here for the Pittsburgh Steelers. 2018, Terrell Edmonds, Mason Rudolph, Chuck Okorafor, James Washington in the second. How many years did James Washington play with the Steelers? He did play 4 years with them. Man. Not enough return on investment for a second-round pick. There's no doubt about that. 2018, not a good draft for them. Devin Bush, you traded up to go get Devin Bush, who unfortunately just got injured early in his career and really wasn't what the Steelers needed him to be for the second half of his rookie contract. And then that's why he's over in Cleveland, and he played well for the Cleveland Browns, actually. But Deontay Johnson, Justin Lane, Benny Snell, Zach Gentry. I mean, these are guys who aren't even in the league anymore. So 2017 was a great draft for the Steelers. 2018 was bad. 2019 was bad. 2020, you draft Chase Claypool in the second round, and I know that pick gets some criticism, but if I remember correctly, there weren't really great options for wide receiver after that. It was Van Jefferson, it was Denzel Mims, Lynn Bowden, Brian Edwards. So, they took the chance on a wide receiver, and honestly, at least if you're going to take a chance on one, he was the right to take a chance on. Alex Highsmith in the third round, objectively good. Kevin Dotson, objectively good for them in the fourth round as well, but Dotson's now doing his thing for the Rams. He became a starter last year. Oh, no, he became a starter in 2021 and 2022. But now he's with the Rams, and he's really good with the Rams. 2021, you drafted Najee Harris because you had to, because James Conner left in free agency, so you needed a workhorse back. There's Pat Freiermuth, Kendrick Green, Dan Moore. Not really a lot there. Kenny Pickett in the first round, bad miss. Broderick Jones in the first round of the next year, 2022 and 2023, bad misses. Funny enough, their second round picks of Joey Porter Jr. and George Pickens obviously were good picks for them, but 2024, I like their 2024 draft because it was Troy Fautanu, it was Zach Frazier, who's going to be a really, really good player in this league for a long time. Peyton Wilson, who I think is a starting linebacker. You get him at 98. I thought that was good value. Roman Wilson, I'm hoping can really show something this upcoming year. Last year, okay, you get Derek Harmon, but then, it's Caleb Johnson, it's Jack Sawyer, it's Yaya Black. This would be a D tier team for me, but I without a D tier, yeah, the chat is correctly pointing out that Dan Moore Jr. is the highest paid Dan Moore Jr. Well, actually, he's not, Peter, because there's a CEO of some company that's higher paid than him, but he's one of the highest paid Dan Moore Jr.'s. I think this might be F tier. When did Khan take over? Let's see. What year did Omar Khan take over as the GM? 2022. So where are we at with 2022? Kenny Pickett year. Not good. Yeah, George Pickens, which is obviously a great pick, but he's not on the team anymore. DeMarvin Leal, Calvin Austin. 2023, Broderick Jones, obviously not great. Keanu Benton, Darnell Washington, Nick Herbig as well. I forgot to shout out Nick Herbig. Yeah, the 2024 draft is strong too. You know what? I'm a much bigger fan of Khan's drafts, especially as of late. I would put them in the D tier, but instead I'm going to put them in the C tier. I don't think it's been bad enough to warrant an F. Somebody said we traded Claypool for JPJ. Am I misremembering this entirely? Am I misremembering this entirely? Oh, yeah, they traded Claypool for the pick that was used for Joey Porter Jr. Right. All right, C tier it is. There you go. You happy? San Francisco 49ers. San Francisco 49ers are a C tier team. They're the craziest, weirdest C tier drafting team that there is. Genuinely. This is a roller coaster. Buckle up. 2017, you got Solomon Thomas at number 3 overall. Not great. Not worth the 3 overall pick. Reuben Foster is in the first round there as well. But then later in the draft, you have Ahkello Witherspoon in the 3rd round. You have George Kittle in the 5th round. Then you go to 2018. Mike McGlinchey at number 9 overall. Good pick. Dante Pettis in the 2nd round. Not ideal. But then you have Fred Warner in the 3rd round, and you have DJ Reed in the 5th round. Insane. 2019, you get Nick Bosa in the 1st round, Deebo Samuel in the 2nd round, but then Dre Greenlaw in the 5th. 2020, it's Javon Kinlaw in the 1st round. Didn't work out for you. Brandon Ayuk, I'm going to say for all intents and purposes, did not work out for you. But then you get Juwan Jennings in the 7th. 2021, one of the worst draft trades over the last 10 years. No question about it. The Trey Lance trade. You draft Trey Lance at number 3 overall and all the assets that you traded to go get him. But then later in that draft, you get Diamador Lenore in the 5th. You get Talanoa Hufanga in the 5th. You get Elijah Mitchell in the 6th. Hilarious. 2022, Drake Jackson. Not great. I like Drake Jackson a lot, but it just didn't pan out for them as in the 2nd round. Tyrion Davis-Price, lighting a pick on fire for running backs like the 49ers do all the time. But then you get Brock Purdy in the 7th round. 2023, Jair Brown. Jake Moody in the 3rd round. D winners, though, in the 6th. 2024, Ricky Pearsall in the 1st, Renardo Green in the 2nd, Dominic Pooty in the 3rd, Malik Mustafa in the 4th, Isaac Rendo lighting a running back pick on fire in the 4th round. 2025, it's Michael Williams, it's Alfred Collins, Nick Martin, Upton Stout. I just think that it's absolutely hilarious to me, the up and down that is the San Francisco 49ers draft. So they have had some early picks that I have just not liked at all, right? Like the Javon Kinlaw pick, the Trey Lance pick. Drake Jackson didn't work out as their first selection in 2022. You don't have a 1st or 2nd round pick in 2023. But then you have the complete rarity that is them getting Kittle, Hufanga, Purdy, Juwan Jennings, Dre Greenlaw, DJ Reed, Diamador Lenore, all in on day 3, and then you also include Fred Warner and Ahkello Witherspoon in the 3rd round. And then all the running back picks that just didn't make sense for this team. Just insanely up and down, but I think C tier is where I've got to land for them. The Seattle Seahawks. This is the 3rd and likely final S tier drafting team. Now, a lot of the heavy lifting here is done by the last half decade, the last 5 drafts that we've had from John Schneider. If you go back to 2017, not great. Malik McDowell in the 2nd round is their first selection in 2017. Ethan Posick right after that. Shaq Griffin in the 3rd round. And just not a lot to remember kind of after those picks. 2018, Rashad Penny, Rasheem Green, Will Dissly, Shaquem Griffin. Not a lot of great there from the Seahawks there in 2018 either. 2019, kind of the same. You get DK Metcalf in the 2nd round, which is great, but LJ Collier in the 1st, Marquise Blair in the 2nd. Cody Barton's in this draft. Ugo Amadi, who is a good player, but went through his injuries. Travis Homer in the 6th, but it's just like, all right, outside of DK Metcalf, not really the high impact that you want. 2020, you draft Jordan Brooks. You get Jordan Brooks in the 1st round, all right. Terrell Taylor, Damian Lewis, Colby Parkinson, DJ Dallas. It's like, all right, that's okay. 2021, it's only a 3-player class there for them. Dwayne Eskridge, Trey Brown, Stone Forsythe. Not a high-impact draft, right? So you go all the way through 2017 to 2021. I don't love it. However, from 2022 on, This is why this team is in S tier for me. 2022, Charles Cross, Boye Mafe, Kenneth Walker, Abe Lucas, Kobe Bryant, Reek Woolen. 2023, Devon Witherspoon, Jack Smith and Jigba, Derek Hall, Zach Charbonnet. Unbelievable. 2024, Byron Murphy, Christian Haynes, AJ Barner. 2025, Gray Zabel, Nicky Manwari, Elijah Arroyo, Torrey Horton, Ricky White. This past draft, they got Jadarian Price, Bud Clark, Julian Neal, Bo Stevens in the 5th. This is an S-tier draft team. The way that they have drafted won them a Super Bowl. No way around it. Yes, of course, they acquired Sam Darnold, and he was a big reason why they got to this point. But that only happens if you draft at a truly, truly elite level for 3 or 4 drafts in a row, like John Schneider did from 2022 on. So this is an S-tier drafting team for me, even though 2017 to 2021 feels like there were a lot more misses than hits when it came to the impact players that they needed. But the way that they have drafted since 2022, S-tier drafting team. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I told you guys for the Seahawks selection that they were my last S-tier team. So the Buccaneers do not get an S-tier ranking here. I'm not fully rigging this exercise for Tampa to shine, but they do belong in the A tier, in my opinion. There are just so few flat-out bad misses for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Jason Light, certainly since 2017. He had some big swings and misses, I think, in his early few years as a general manager, but even the Bucs' misses don't feel terrible, and their hits feel fantastic, right? I mean, like, you look at O.J. Howard. Was O.J. Howard great as a 19th overall pick? No, but he was solid for them, and he was a role player for them during when Jameis was there. He had higher production, and then he was solid for them during the Super Bowl years. Justin Evans, I think, could have been a good football player had it been for the injuries. You get Chris Godwin in the 3rd, which is excellent value for you. In 2018, you get Vita Vea at number 12 overall. You get Carlton Davis in the 2nd round, Alex Kappa in the 3rd round, Jordan Whitehead, who was a starter for you in the 4th round, Justin Watson and Jack Sitchie were special teams guys for you. 2019, Devin White, number 5 overall. Objectively, long-term, was the ROI worth it? No. Did it help them win the Super Bowl, and was he a key player for that playoff run? Yeah. You draft Sean Murphy-Bunting as well, 39, who, all right, Sean Murphy-Bunting had his struggles, but again, is he the worst player in the league that's ever been drafted, around pick 39? No, I don't think so. I think that he was disappointing. That's why he's not with the Buccaneers anymore, but he wasn't a terrible football player. Jamil Dean's in the 3rd round. Mike Edwards in the 3rd round there as well. Anthony Nelson in the 4th round. Scotty Miller in the 6th round. 2020, you get a steal in Tristan Wirfs. You get a steal in Antoine Winfield Jr. You got Tyler Johnson in that draft as well. Then you get to 2021. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. Again, this is a player who, was he worth the 1st round pick? Maybe not. I shouldn't say that, because in the 2021 class, saying was it worth this selection, you always have to take into account who is available around you. You would have liked to see more from a pass rusher who was selected in the 1st round than what the Bucs got from Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. But he was fine. He was a fine player. He just wasn't the 1st round player that I think they were hoping that he could be. Kyle Trask, he didn't do anything for the Buccaneers, but I think he was just insurance for when Tom Brady was there. Logan Hall, same thing as the Joe Tryon-Shoyinka conversation. This is a player who is fine. Would you have wanted more from him? Yes, but this isn't like a massive swing and a miss. They didn't totally miss on what the guy could be, and the fact that, like, oh wow, he busted and is completely out of the league. Pause. You got Luke Gedeke in the 2nd round. You got Rashad White in the 3rd round. Kate Otten in the 4th round. Zion McCollum in the 5th round. Then it's Kalijah Kancey. It's Cody Mock. It's Yaya Diaby. The following year, Graham Barton, Tyke Smith, Jalen McMillan, Bucky Irving in the 4th, Elijah Klein, who's a good depth offensive lineman for you. 2025, it's Emeka Egbuka, it's Ben Morrison, it's Jacob Parrish in the 3rd, it's David Walker in the 4th. I just think that Jason Light, the floor for the Buccaneers is so high because of who he is as a scout and how he sees players. The Bucs just so very rarely draft a player and they go, oh yeah, this guy can't play. A ceiling, sometimes, yeah, you take a risk on guys, or, it goes one way or the other, and the ceiling doesn't work out for a handful of players. But I don't think the Bucs have drafted perfectly enough to be an S tier, but I genuinely don't think that you could have them any less than A. If anything, you could argue them as an S tier team if you want to just look at success rates of them versus other teams in the NFL. If anything, I think that you would argue them up. I don't think that you could argue them down, but I have them here as an A tier team for how they have drafted over the last 10 years. The Tennessee Titans. I think I'm going to have to put them in the F tier, Tyler. I had them in the D tier, but I think they got to be an F tier team. If you go back to 2017, you have Corey Davis at 5 overall in 2017, then Zadori Jackson at 18 later in that draft. Tawan Taylor, who didn't work out for them in the third round. Johnny Smith, who was fine for them in the third round as well. 2018, Rashad Evans in the first round, which was a whiff by them. You get Harold Landry at 41 in the second, which is good, but then you only had Dave Cruikshank in the fifth round and Luke Falk in the sixth round. So basically a nothing class for them outside of Harold Landry. 2019 was phenomenal for them. It was Jeffrey Simmons, it was A.J. Brown, it was Amani Hooker. Like, that's a phenomenal draft for you, especially given the fact that they only had 7 total picks. 2020, bad. Isaiah Wilson, Christian Fulton, Darrington Evans, Laurel Murchison, not a good draft. 2021, you have Dylan Radins, you have Elijah Molden in that draft in the second and third round, but Caleb Farley in the first, Monty Rice in the third, Des Fitzpatrick in the fourth, Rashad Weaver in the fourth. Not a good draft. 2022, Traylon Burks in the first, Roger McCreary in the second, Nicholas Petit-Frere in the third, Malik Willis in the third. And I think how Malik Willis's tenure with the Titans went just speaks to how chaotic that entire situation was. So you didn't really get any sort of stability or high ceiling players out of any of your draft picks there. Peter Skoronski in the first round in 2023, who was a good player for you. Will Levis, you drafted him in the second round. Tajay Spears. Then the next year, it's J.C. Latham, it's T'Vondre Sweat. Latham might not even be a starter at tackle for you. T'Vondre Sweat is not even on the team anymore. Jarvis Brownlee's not on the team anymore either. Cedric Gray was a tackling machine for you, but okay, you draft a tackling machine linebacker in the fourth round. That's kind of where you're supposed to draft those guys. You get Cam Ward at number 1 overall in 2025. Olufemi Oldejo is a total project pass rusher in the second round. Who knows what his spot in this rotation is going to be with a new coaching staff. Kevin Winston, I'm excited about. Shimmery DK obviously was great for them in special teams and as a slot player. Gunnar Helm, Elkaio Maynor, I think these are good players. Jackson Slater, a good depth offensive lineman for you. But I just don't think they've done enough. I think this has to be an F-tier team. I really like what they've done. I like the potential of 2025 and 2026, I should say. And the 2019 draft was great for them. But outside of that, it has not been what it's needed to be. So I'm going to go with an F for the Tennessee Titans. Let's see. Wow, we got too many F teams, Tyler. We're breaking the machine. The last one is the Washington Commanders, who they might be another F team. They might be another F team here. So let's look at the Commanders, who I had them in the D tier on my notes, but obviously we don't have a D tier team here. I think the problem with the Commanders is that you have a lot of major round 1 disappointments, right? Chase Young was not the player that you hoped that he would be. Obviously, he's not even with them anymore. He's with the Saints. Jamin Davis, your first-round pick in 2021. Jahan Johnson, your first-round pick in 2022. Emmanuel Forbes, your first-round pick in 2023. The 2024-2025 classes, and I'm excited about the 2026 class as well. Like, these are really solid selections for them. But, man, you go back to 2017. You draft John Allen in the first round. He was a good player for you. Ryan Anderson was not in the second round. Fabian Moreau, Samaje Perine. Deron Payne was obviously a solid player for you. You draft him 13th overall in 2018. Who did they pick over in 2018? Marcus Davenport, Colton Miller, Derwin James still on the board, Jair Alexander still on the board. I mean, there's some good players that you picked over, but if you wanted a defensive lineman, I mean, it was basically him, and then Taven Bryan was next, so hard to critique too much on that. 2019, you drafted Dwayne Haskins in the first round, which is obviously a tragic story about him and his passing. Montez Sweat and Terry McLaurin, obviously good football players there for you in the first round and the third round. You got Cole Holcomb as well. Cam Curl in the 7th round in 2020. 2021, you had Sam Cosmi in the 2nd round, which is great. Benjamin St. Juste, Taami Brown. Man. God, 2022 is bad, too, from this team. Jahan Dotson, Fedarian Mathis. Brian Robinson, obviously a solid as a running back. But Percy Butler, Sam Howell, Cole Turner, Chris Paul. God. I think this is F tier. I think this is F tier. Yeah, I got to do it. Sadly. I like where the Commanders are going lately. 2024 through 2026. I like where they're going. But I think that's F tier, folks. There we go. There we go. Every team in the NFL placed into tiers. The S tier teams. We've got the Seattle Seahawks, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Los Angeles Rams. The A tier, it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Detroit Lions, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Indianapolis Colts, and the Baltimore Ravens. B tier is the Los Angeles Chargers, the Houston Texans, the Buffalo Bills, the Dallas Cowboys, and the Denver Broncos. C tier, it's the Green Bay Packers, the San Francisco 49ers, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the New York Giants, the New Orleans Saints, the Carolina Panthers, and the Chicago Bears. The F tier, the Jets, the Commanders, the Titans, the Dolphins, the Patriots, the Vikings, the Raiders, the Cardinals, the Jaguars, the Falcons, the Bengals, and the Browns. Here we go, folks. Would love to hear what you guys think of this as well. We've had a lot of people in the chat. I see some super chats that we'll get to here after the episode here in a second, but see a lot of people in the chat who have been going back and forth with these grades the whole time. If you're watching this after the fact, we would love to hear from you guys as well. Let us know in the comments section what you think of where I had these teams tiered, the players that I'm valuing way too high, the players that I'm not valuing enough, where you would tier some of these teams, and where you would differ. Of course, the best way to do that is in the comments section. If you guys are watching this show, and you're not subscribed to the program, Tyler's going to yell at me because we're 2 hours into this bad boy and I haven't asked people to subscribe yet. We would love for you to be a part of the Addicts. We do a lot of fun things like this during the offseason. And then, of course, we'll get around to summer scouting. We'll talk to you guys about what we think about some of these prospects that we have in the 2027 NFL draft. We'll get to the mock drafts, the rankings. We'll cover all the fun stuff during the season as well. So come hang out with us. Make sure you subscribe to the program if you're not. Check out and see if you've hit that subscribe button. And if not, become part of the Addicts. We would love you to be. We would also love for you to be in the NFLSE Discord, which is popping off with over 5,000 members. Crazy football fans in there. Every single time I log in, you guys are getting up to something. It's a lot of fun. So you can get in the Discord. The link to join is in the description of this show. Yeah, I think that's about it. We will be back next Monday. I'm not sure if we're going to start summer scouting next Monday or the Monday after, but it is coming very, very soon. We're going to get to summer scouting very soon. It's just a matter of we've got some things and upgrades that we're doing behind the scenes. Obviously, we've got to get Connor reacclimated to real life now as a dad to make sure that he can watch the players that he needs to, because we want to go as in-depth as possible. Every single offseason, we have made a pact to go deeper in our analysis and how many players we are watching, the rankings that we have, because that's summer scouting is some of the most fun that we have on this entire channel. So we want to make sure that we're as ready as possible to have some great conversations with you guys. That is coming either next week or the week after. So be on the lookout for that. But for Connor Rogers, wherever he is, his new dad, for the chef behind the scenes, making everything possible, a monster of a show. So many different graphics from the chef today. So once again, nonstop chef emojis and W's in the chat for the chef. Putting this on as the GOAT producer. But for Tyler behind the scenes, making it all possible, I'm Trevor Sikkema saying thank you guys for watching this episode of the NFL Stock Exchange Show. Stick around. I'm going to read a couple of the super chats that we got in the after the episode part of this program. But if not, see you guys next week.